Welcome to the video that changes everything. 2 years ago, I was broke working in construction, waking up at 5 a.m. to go work a job that I hated. On the weekends, I would go out drinking, trying to avoid reality and avoid who I was. Now, I make over $100,000 a month online. I work where I want, when I want, and it all came down to one skill: sales. Over the next few hours, I'm going to be giving you the exact blueprint I used, not theory, not motivation, the actual skills that I learned and the actual steps that I took to go from making $900 a week to having complete financial freedom. And here's the deal. This works. I've done it. My inner circle is doing it right now, but it's not easy. So if you're looking for a shortcut, this isn't it. But if you're ready to commit, grab a notebook, kill the distractions, and let's get to work. This isn't just a video. This is the first step in your transformation. If you want to build a house that lasts, what is the most important thing? It is the foundation that you build it on. And the reason I want to cover this first is because although you want to get to the value and you want to know exactly what it is that you have to do, the reason people do not become successful short-term and long-term is because they are lacking the foundational things that they need mentally in order to actually get what they want. Most people fail not because they lack the talent or because they lack the hunger. They fail because they get started without actually understanding why or what they're trying to build. I believe success is built on 3 pillars of foundation: vision, why, and urgency. So understand, clarity is power. If you do not know what it is that you want, you can't get it. It's impossible. So the first exercise I want you to do is get really clear on the few things that I am about to list out. The first one being vision. Where are you going? What does your dream life actually look like? Who do you want to be as a person? What are the traits that you have? When I say get clear on your vision, I don't mean I want to make 10K a month. I mean, I know exactly how much I want to make. I know how I want to make that money. I know the type of work I want to be doing to make that money. I know how many hours I want to be working a day. When you get your vision, it needs to be something you can clearly see in your head. That is how you obtain it. What does your house look like? What car do you drive? Do you have a family? This isn't about materialism, but this is about clarity. Without a clear vision, you're like a ship without a compass. You're going to leave or start your journey and get lost and get stuck, and you're not going to know why. And it's because you don't actually understand what is the life I am trying to achieve here. That's the reason why most people never make progress, is because they do not actually really understand what it is that they want from life. So before you do anything else, I want you to get clear on those things and take notes on your vision in crystal clear clarity. The second thing I want you to take notes on and actually get down clearly is your why. Your vision is what you want. Your why is why that is important for you to achieve. The why that you have for your mission, for your vision, is going to be the thing that gets you out of bed every morning. So if your why is a Ferrari, that's probably not going to get you out of bed every morning. It needs to be something deep rooted within you, whether that's discontentment around your current situation, whether that's making God proud. Whatever it is for you personally, that is the thing that's going to get you out of bed and make you do the work that you don't always necessarily feel like doing. Your why has to be strong, because your why is the thing that makes you do the work that allows you to achieve your vision. If you're missing a vision or you're missing a why, you cannot be successful. The third thing is urgency. You need to actually apply yourself with a sense of urgency and understand that time is ticking regardless. You're going to be somewhere this time next year. The question is, where will you be? Most people live life like they have forever. They think they have time, but you don't. Every day you waste is a day that you won't get back. Treat your goals with the urgency that they deserve. If you don't get the work done that you need to get done for that day, you can't sleep. So before going on into the next module, I want you to complete this action step. Pause this video, write down your vision, and get clarity on what your vision is. Get clarity on what your why is. Why is that vision actually important for you? And then 3, write down why is it important that you do it now. Write down the habits and the beliefs and the ways of thinking that have been holding you back up until this point, so that you can remove the limiting beliefs and only adopt the beliefs that serve you. This is your foundation. Don't skip it. One thing I want you to remember on this journey is one of the rules of the universe that changed my life, and that is the idea of sowing and reaping. Newton's third law states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So whatever you put out will return to you in equal proportion. So if you believe that life is hard and it's really hard to make money and money's evil and you shouldn't have it, then that is going to be true for you. So something I tell myself every day is that life is easy. Money is easy to make. It just flows to me effortlessly. My beliefs end up dictating my reality. If I believe it is hard to make money, it will be hard. If I believe money just comes to me magically, then it will. So while you're still on this module, one more thing I want you to do is write down all the beliefs that you have about money, about success, about yourself, and audit them. Ask yourself, do these beliefs serve me, or are they negatively impacting my life? And if they are negatively impacting you, remove them and only adopt the beliefs that serve you. Once you've completed those notes and you have clarity on what it is that you want, let's move on to the next module. The foundation is set. Now let's talk about how we are actually going to make this happen. The skills that are going to change every single thing in your life are high income skills. They are skills that are super high leverage compared to a normal job, and they can make you 10, 20, all the way up to 100K a month. They're scalable, they're in high demand, and they are essential. And the number one high income skill is sales. Every business needs sales to survive. As a business owner, you are not going to make money if you are not making sales. And that is the case for a SaaS business, an e-commerce business, an SMMA business, an info business. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter what niche you're in. If you cannot sell, you cannot make money, which is why sales is the number one skill. And the beauty about sales is it's a skill that you develop one time, but once you have it, you can use it forever and you'll never go broke again. When I started, I had no sales experience whatsoever. I was working in construction, and my first week that I landed a role as an appointment setter, I made $600. I instantly quit my job and I haven't been back to a job site since. 6 months after leaving my job, I was making $10,000 a month completely remote. And that's when I realized not only is sales the essential skill to business in general, it is the essential skill to life, and it is the fastest way to make money online. You don't need thousands of dollars. You don't need to try a billion different business models. You don't even need to start a business, and you definitely don't need a degree. You just need one skill that takes 1 to 2 months to learn, and then your entire life can change forever. Now, if you're like me and you're in a construction job and you don't have any sales experience whatsoever, and you're wondering how do you actually learn it, what I personally did was join a sales academy where they taught me exactly what I needed to know. They taught me how to sell, and I also made all the connections that I needed in order to be able to land a really good role. This is what I suggest to everybody starting out. So if you also want to work with the same academy that I did, I'll leave a link in the description below. Back before I started sales, I used to think salespeople were slimy and scammy and basically just manipulated people. And that's what most people think about sales. They think it's pushy, it's annoying, it's telemarketing, so they avoid it, but that's not sales. That's desperation. Real sales is about understanding what someone needs, the mindset shifts that they need to make in order to make the right decision for themselves and for their future. It's about asking the right questions and genuinely listening to the answers and trying to improve somebody's life. And when you approach it this way, people don't feel sold to or scammed. They feel helped and impacted. And that's when everything changes. That's why I created my own personal selling method, the transparent selling method. And that's what I'm going to teach you today. What makes sales different to every other skill is that it really has no ceiling. You're not trading time for money, you're trading conversations and a skill set for commissions. In a 1 hour long call, you can make $1,000 or more. And you can do that from anywhere in the world. So when I was able to leave construction, I was able to actually travel to all these different countries, continue making the same amount of money that I was making while I was at home. And that's why I will never go back, because what sales allows you to do is to get your freedom back. You control your life. Sales isn't just about selling products, it's about communication, it's about conviction, it's about understanding human psychology. When you learn how to sell, you don't just learn how to sell, you learn how to solve problems, make connections, understand humans, and create value. Sales changed my life, and by the end of this video, my goal is to make sure that it begins to change yours as well. All right, let's start with the basics. What exactly is appointment setting? Appointment setting is the first part of the sales process. When a fresh lead comes in, you need to take them from being slightly interested to the point where they actually want to genuinely get on a call with a sales rep so that they can have a call where they get more information and make a buying decision. Think of yourself as the connector. You're taking someone from very first touch to actually being on a call with someone from the business. Your job is to qualify leads, build rapport, and then get them booked onto a calendar. Once they're on that calendar, the closer will take the call, and if they close, then you both make commissions. In the sales ecosystem, appointment setters are obviously one of the key parts, because if you do not have appointment setters, you don't have book calls, and if you do not have book calls, you don't have closers and you don't have money. So as an appointment setter, you're not just filling up a calendar, you're feeding the sales pipeline with qualified leads that are genuinely going to have their lives changed if they decide to go through the process. And as a setter, you don't need to worry about closing the deal yourself. Your focus is simple. You just need to get them booked onto a call and then make sure they're nurtured before the call so that they can get closed. As a setter, your role breaks down to 3 main functions. The first being lead qualification. Not every lead is worth pursuing. A lot of the times you're probably going to have a 50 to 70% disqualification rate, meaning most of the leads coming in aren't going to be qualified leads, depending on the offer you're on. So your first job as an appointment setter is to determine, is this lead even worth speaking to? If they are, how can I find out if they're qualified to actually buy the product? And once they are qualified to buy the product, then you go ahead and book them. In the lead qualification process, it's pretty much just asking the right questions to understand where they are at financially and if they can manage the investment. A really good way to do this if you're selling B2C is to ask them what they do for work, how they're finding it, how much they're making, or how much they would need to be making in order to replace their current income. In order for a lead to be qualified, you want there to be a good understanding of where they're at now, where they want to be, if they have the budget for it, and if they're serious. And if they're those things and you understand those things, then you can go ahead and get them booked onto a call. The second thing you want to do as a setter is build rapport, actually build a personal connection with the lead so that they don't feel like they're speaking to a robot, but they actually feel like someone speaking to them is genuinely interested and genuinely does want to help them. People don't buy from companies, they buy from people that they trust. So it's essential that they have a good experience throughout the entire sales pipeline. Even though you're not closing the sale, you still need to build a connection and build trust, because if you do not do this and you book the call, they aren't going to show up to the call. So be friendly, actively listen, show genuine interest in solving their problem, because the rapport that you build in the setting process sets the tone for the entire sales process. The third thing, as you guys know, is scheduling the appointment. This is where the rubber meets the road. Once you've qualified the lead and they're actually engaged in the conversation and you can tell they are actually going to show up to the call, then you can go ahead, send them a calendar link so that they can book onto the closer's calendar and get closed. Now, your job doesn't stop there, because once you're scheduling the appointment, you want to have a good post-call booking process where you make sure that they actually show up to the call, whether that's content, whether that's further nurturing through conversation, or whatever it may be. To excel as an appointment setter, you need to adopt the right mindset. You're not a salesperson, you are a problem solver. As an appointment setter, you're not selling anything, you're trying to understand their situation so you can help prescribe them the solution. This means you get to approach each conversation with genuine curiosity about their situation and where they want to be and what they need in order to get there. You also need to understand that rejection is a part of the game. You can't be discouraged by rejection. Not every conversation that you have is going to result in a booking, but you need to be able to continue to push forward and understand that that's okay. Don't take it personally, because every no can become a yes down the line. As an appointment setter, the most important thing, and this is the case for closing as well, your biggest asset is going to be your activity. If you can stay consistent and consistently show up and be super active, you will be a good salesperson or setter. Which ties into the next point, that is, time is your most valuable asset. The more work that you do, the more successful that you're going to be. And this is the same for if you can tell a lead isn't qualified or it's not from a good country, don't waste your time on these leads. If you can sense someone's wasting your time and they're not serious, do not waste your time. Focus on high quality leads that are actually going to result in closes, but don't neglect leads that are kind of in the middle. You need to just dictate whether or not they are going to be a good lead. Now, to be a top performing appointment setter, you need to develop these essential skills. First one being active listening. Pay attention to what the prospect's saying and respond to what they are saying specifically. Listen for their pain points, their objections, and their buying signals, or lack thereof. Make sure you have effective communication. Don't ramble. Be concise. Be efficient with what you're saying. The next one is time management. You'll often be juggling multiple leads at once, so make sure you stay organized with a CRM and you actually have your time and shifts set out for the day. Handling objections. In the DMs, you're still going to have prospects raise concerns, ask how much it is, and ask you questions where it seems like an objection. You need to know how to handle these effectively. The last one is just following up. A lot of money is made in the follow-up. Sometimes people forget, they lose the message. So when you consistently follow up with leads that have shown interest previously, you can end up booking a lot more calls. So you know how you can actually perform in these roles. Here is a framework that you can follow. Step one is initial contact. This is where they're first reaching out to you and you're replying to them. Hey, what's got you interested? What has you reaching out? Any first initial message will do, where you're actually getting to know them and asking them what has them reaching out so you can understand why they're even here in the first place. Step two is qualify the lead. A good way to do this is ask them what they're doing for work at the moment, if they're currently making any money. If they're not making any money, then obviously you don't need to proceed with the conversation. Step 3 is create interest and extract pain. You want to know, why are they actually here? What pain are they experiencing? This pain is going to be the thing that actually gets them to show up to the call and to close. Once you've got their pain, build some curiosity around getting a solution to that pain. Step 4, handle any objections that they bring to the table, if any. Step 5, send the link and lock in the appointment as quick as possible. Offer time slots, then confirm their availability. Make sure that they're actually good for that time. Get the closer to reach out and touch base with them. Step 5, do your post-call booking process and follow up with them to make sure that they are going to show up to the call and that they're also nurtured with what they need to be nurtured with before the call actually takes place. Now, as an appointment setter, how well you're performing is going to be dictated off a few key things. That is going to be your inbound leads to qualified calls, meaning how many people DM'd and how many of those people did you actually get booked onto a qualified call. The second thing is going to be your show up rate. How many of your leads are actually showing up to the calls that they book in? And the third thing is going to be your conversion rate. How many of those are actually closing? The reason these things are the most important is because it shows how hard you're working, how good you are at getting the leads that come in to get booked. It shows how well you're nurturing them. If they're not showing up, or you've got a super low show rate, like a 30% show rate, it means they don't really have enough interest, intrigue, pain, or they've not been nurtured enough in the DMs to actually show up. And if none of them are closing, similar reason. So as an appointment setter, really focus on the quality of the conversations that you're having. If you spend a lot of time with the prospect and you're really getting to know their situation and you get to extract their pain, they're going to feel a lot more inclined to actually show up to the call. Even just with appointment setting alone, if you learn how to master this skill, you can make up to 30, 40, 50K a month when you go into some kind of setting management role. And remember, every conversation you have is an opportunity for you to actually help someone get the solution that they need to get the life they want. So stay curious, stay consistent, and always focus on providing value. The appointments will follow. Setting is where most sales reps begin. It's definitely where I started and what allowed me to actually become an even better sales rep. So this is where I suggest all of you guys start, which is why I just covered it. And when the offer does need setters and when the offer does need closers, who do you think they're going to go to first? They're going to go to their setters. Now, let's start with the basics of closing. So what is closing? Closing is the final step, right? So you've got your setters, they just book the calls onto your calendar. And as a closer, it's your job to go onto that call, meet the prospect, understand where they're at, where they want to be, understand what's stopping them from getting to where they want to be, and then prescribing them the solution, which is your program that you're selling, so that they can get to where they want to be. It's where you take all the trust and all the information that you've gathered throughout the call, you use it to actually build out a roadmap and a solution that's going to help them get where they want, and you give it to them. And then obviously you get the close and you make a cut of the total percentage. What closing isn't is using sleazy tactics, is manipulating people, is trying to force someone to buy something that they don't want. As a high ticket closer, you're dealing with inbound warm leads, people that are already interested, they already want to buy, and your job is to help them make the mindset shifts, gather the information, and understand what they need to understand in order to actually buy that product. Now, if this job is done right, it feels genuinely aligned, it feels genuinely purposeful and impactful, because you're helping people get what they want from life, whether that's a physical transformation, a financial transformation, a spiritual transformation, or a mental one. The reason why closing matters is because it directly impacts your paycheck. Whether you're a setter or a sales rep, sales is a commission-based game, meaning you eat what you kill, meaning if you're not good and you can't communicate that you're not going to make any money, and that scares some people. But if you're actually about it, it excites you, because now you know there's no cap on how much you can make if you're a good sales rep. So remember one thing, no close, no commission, but that should be a good thing, because you eat what you kill, unlike any other job out there. You can become a really good closer just by understanding what makes people buy. People make big decisions like this based off emotion, and then they justify it with logic. So you need both. Emotions drive the decision. People buy because they're experiencing pain that's caused by a certain problem that they can't solve alone. They want a goal, but the problem is stopping them from achieving that goal. That's why they need you. They're motivated by how they feel right now, discontent with their situation, and how they're going to feel once they actually solve that problem through your program so that they can get their goal. But it does have to be a logical decision as well, because if they buy based off emotion, but then there's no logic at the back end of that, then they're going to regret their decision. So this is where actually learning the skills, or actually going through the program and actually extracting value matters. This is where features and benefits and structures and the actual training come into play. Now, once you master this balance and you have a good offer that genuinely does solve their problem, and you know how to tap into their emotions, closing becomes effortless because you're speaking to the heart and to the mind. So before we get into the right techniques, you need to adopt the right mindset. Every time you jump on a call, you should understand that you're just genuinely having a conversation with the person, seeing if you can help them solve their problem. But you also need to go into every call thinking that you can genuinely help this person. That's why they're on the call, because they're experiencing a problem and you are the person who has the solution. When you do this, you automatically go into the call with a positive mindset, understanding that I'm going to help you solve your problems. Try to also remember that you're not a salesperson, you're a problem solver. So shift your perspective from I need to sell this to I need to help this person. You don't want to have commission breath and come onto these calls where it seems like the only thing you care about is making money. You want to come into these calls to where you seem like you really just want to understand the prospect and help them. And when you genuinely believe that your solution is going to help that person and you go into the call with that mindset, you don't have commission breath and you genuinely do want to help that person. If you don't get the sale, you're not mad that you lost money. You're mad that you didn't help that person change their life. You need to be able to also detach from the outcome. The less desperate you are for the sale, the less you feel like you need it, the more likely you are to actually get it. Neediness repels people and confidence attracts them. Care about the prospect's success, not about how you can benefit from it. Understand as well that rejection is redirection. Not every prospect is an amazing fit for you. So if someone says no or it's not a good fit for them, that's okay. Every no that you get, it builds resilience. It makes you more competent, more convicted. Never internalize it and think it's something personal. Now let's dive into the fundamentals of a sales call so you guys understand exactly what you're getting into and exactly what it's going to look like when you're actually jumping on these calls. A call will typically be 30 to 45 minutes long. And during that time, your job as a sales rep is to take that prospect from I'm interested in this and I kind of want to buy it to by the end of the call being like 100%, this is what I need in order to get what I want from life. Now with high ticket closing, it's very different to every other sales industry. Like I said, you're dealing with warm prospects. As a car salesperson or an insurance salesperson, it's typically very cold leads that don't even really want to buy what you're selling. It feels slimy. But with high ticket closing, you're dealing with people that genuinely already want to buy what you're selling, which leads to a much better conversation and a lot more fulfillment on both sides. Now, with this being said, the anatomy of the sales call mostly stays the same. Identify their pain, where they're at currently, where they want to be, and bridge the gap. But it does slightly vary based on the prospect that is in front of you. Sometimes you're going to get pre-sold prospects who are already ready to buy. They just want to give you their credit card. They don't even want to have a conversation. That's probably going to be about 10 to 20% of the prospects. And then another 20% are just going to be people that are tire kickers. They're just there to waste time. They don't really care and they're not serious. Then the remaining 60% is going to be people that need some perspective shifts and some mindset shifts. But once they have that, they're going to do it. So you'll save a lot of time by being able to identify what type of prospect you're dealing with. If you're dealing with someone who's basically a lay down sale, running them through the whole 45-minute call is actually probably going to be detrimental because they just want to get started. So do what you need to do, get the information you need, but don't drag it out more than it needs to be dragged out. If you get a tire kicker, if you go through that whole 45-minute call, you're going to have wasted both of your time. So being able to identify if they're serious about it or not is super important. And how you do this is by listening for non-buyer language and calling it out as they say it. If someone comes on the call, hey, I'm just looking for more information. Is this just what you do? You just jump on calls all day looking for more information, or is there something going on that you need help with? I'm not looking to make a decision today. Okay, like why do you feel like you're not ready to get started? Is this not something that you feel like you need to do right now? Being able to identify language like that saves everyone time, and you have to call it out when it arises. Don't just skim past it. And the other 60% of people is going to come off strictly based on your sales ability and skill set. Now, I'm just going to break down my entire sales framework so you know exactly what process you need to go through when you actually want to close someone efficiently. There are 6 sections to my framework. The first one being introduction and rapport. This is just where you first meet the person. You ask them if they've watched the pre-call video and find any red flags or non-buyer language early on. Now, in this section, you want to do a few things. Every time you jump on a call, that person is going to make a snap judgment of you in the first couple of seconds of the call. You need to make sure it's a good one. They are either going to see you as serious, an expert in your field, professional, or they're not. So it's important how you show up to the intro of the call. That is the case for how you speak, what you say, your background, your presentation, your tonality, and how you actually control and guide the call. This section should realistically only last about 30 seconds. You don't want to waste a bunch of time. You don't want to drag it out how some people do and go, oh, where do you live? Oh, I'm going there at one point. Yeah, how is it? Do you like it? How's the weather? When you do that, you lose frame and it just doesn't seem like you're going to have a productive conversation, and they know you don't care. So open up the call and then you move into the next section, which is setting the agenda. Once again, this should only really take a couple of seconds. This is where you're going to set the agenda and actually get frame of the call. You let the prospect know what they're there for, what you guys are trying to achieve on this call, and you establish the frame. One thing that you really want to do in this section as well is get the prospect to understand that if they are a good fit, they will be investing in getting started and getting onboarded on the call. Because then when you get to the end of the call, this prevents them from saying stuff like, oh, I got to do this today. Well, I got to do this now. When I do this, it sounds something like this. I'm just going to ask a couple questions, bro, get a good idea of where you're at, where you want to be, and then just make sure that we can actually make that happen. All right. Just so we make sure that we're a good fit for you and that you're a good fit for us. If it is a good fit, bro, then what we'll do is we'll get you onboarded at the end of the call. How's that sound? That's it. Very short. You just take control of the conversation, let them know how the conversation is going to go. You take frame, you let them know what to expect, and then you move on to the next part of the call, which is discovery. Discovery is the most important part of the sales call, because what discovery is extracting all of the relevant information that you need, which is their pain, their motive, their problem, and their why. And this is where you actually get the information you need in order to pitch and close effectively, as well as being able to handle objections effectively and being able to future pace them effectively and being able to actually get the prospect to make a decision. The 4 things you want to extract in discovery is their motive. This is the thing that they're actually wanting to achieve. What is the overarching goal or desired end situation? The second thing is their problem. What is the problem that's actually causing them their pain that they can't solve? And the problem is the thing that's actually preventing them from already having the desired end situation. This will typically be the thing that you're trying to alleviate with your program, which is typically like a lack of knowledge, a lack of guidance, a lack of information, a lack of support or accountability, stuff like this. The third thing is the pain. What is actually the pain being caused by them not being able to solve that problem and get to their goal? If it was a fitness coaching program, the pain would be, I'm out of shape, I'm fat, I'm unhealthy. If it's a financial thing, it's I'm broke and I hate my job and I hate my situation. The fourth thing is their why. Why is it actually important for them to reach their motive? This is a deeper rooted reason behind why they actually want what they want. Now, when you're doing discovery, it really shouldn't be anything other than you just asking questions. You should not really be saying anything that isn't a question, right? Unless you're just giving context or giving them an analogy. But most of discovery, if not all of it, should just be you saying, and asking questions about the specific answers you're getting. That means no unnecessary stories, not trying to relate to them too much, no random sentences about random things or people, just asking specific questions, getting specific answers, and then asking questions about those answers. A big part of the reason why people tend to overtalk is because they're uncomfortable with silence. Someone will say something, they'll repeat the whole sentence and then ask a question at the end of it. But what I tell all my students is to just be comfortable with the pause. If someone says something and you need time to comprehend what they said and really think about it, then sit there on the call and think about it. Sit there and go, okay, I guess, what do you actually mean by that? Because I find that means something different for everyone. The pause does more for you than more talking would, because when you pause, they genuinely feel like you're internalizing and listening and trying to understand what they're saying. People over talk a lot and they end up talking themselves out of sales. For example, oh nice bro, that's a good goal. Most people kind of aim for $10,000 a month. That was my goal when I started. Why is that your goal? As opposed to, okay, why $10,000 in particular though? You cut through all the fluff when you're direct and you're concise and you pause and you wait and you synthesize your questions correctly. If you ask fluffy questions, you'll get fluff answers in return. If you aren't direct and specific with what you're asking, then you will not get direct and specific answers, which will cause you to then not get any closes. Once you've got their current situation and their desired end situation, their problem and their pain, you can move on to the next section of the call, which is the transition. And all the transition is you moving from discovery to the pitch. And once again, it's quite short. The longest part of the call is going to be discovery. All the transition is you asking them, is there anything else you wanted to go over or anything else that I missed? They'll either say no or they'll give you something and you can address it there and then. And the question that I like to ask before moving on to the pitch is this: cool, we can definitely help you. Assuming everything makes sense and we can actually get you to your goal by solving the problem that you've been facing, would you be ready to get started today? They will almost always say yes. And the reason we do this is because because the best type of objection handling is objection prevention. And if you can get them to say there's nothing stopping them from getting started today before you pitch, then they don't really have an excuse to bring something up to stop them after the pitch. Because if they do give you that objection after the pitch, then they're going to be contradicting to themselves. And for the most part, people want to stick to their word and not contradict themselves. In this section, I'll also try to pre-handle a few other objections by asking how much time do you think you could actually set aside to work on this? Is there anyone else that's going to be part of this decision? And by that, you handle the time objection and the partner or business partner objection as well. Once you've pre-handled these objections, then you can transition by just saying something like, cool man, that's all I needed to know. Now I can just break down exactly how I think we can solve XYZ problem so that you can get to your desired outcome. Is that cool? Then you pitch and drop price, and this is where you present your solution. But here's the key. Make sure you're not pitching the features. Make sure you're pitching the transformation that the features will cause. And try to connect everything back to what they told you in discovery. It's not about what you're offering. It's about what you're offering, solving their problem and getting them where they want to be. Your pitch should feel personalized because it is. You're showing them exactly how your solution bridges the gaps that they are experiencing between where they want to be and where they are. So structure your pitch like this. Acknowledge their problem. Based on what you told me, bro, the main issue for you is just lack of knowledge and lack of understanding. Then show them the solution. What we do to resolve that is we give you in-depth, clear, concise coaching every single day to close that knowledge gap. Then paint the picture. Once you implement this and you actually develop the skill, it's going to allow you to solve XYZ pain so you can get goal. 4, provide proof. Once you're done explaining those 3 things, do you see how that could help you? And if they say yes, ask, why do you feel like that would help you though? And they will start to sell themselves on why they need exactly what you're selling. Once you've gone through the pitch and laid everything out on the table and they know exactly that it is the right thing for them and it is going to help them, then you go for the close. When you drop price, you want to say the price and then shut up. You can just say, and for all that, bro, it's going to be $8,000 US. And then you don't talk. You just shut up and let them think. Or you could say something like, and for all that, it's just $8,000, bro. How would you like to proceed? And when you say, how would you like to proceed? Give them a bit more of an invitation to explain if they want to start or if they don't. After you drop price, shut up, and the next person to speak loses. So never talk first after you drop price. Let them tell you what they want to do. The anatomy of a sales call is a proven framework. This is something that works for every sales call. When you execute it properly, every section has its own purpose, and every question that you ask should move the prospect closer to a buying decision. Master this structure, practice it until it becomes second nature, and you'll never struggle to close again. Once you've gone through the entire sales call and you've dropped price, the person's either going to pay or they're going to give you what we call an objection. Like I said previously, the best form of objection handling is objection prevention. But if they still throw something at you, here's exactly how you handle it. The best closers don't actually fear objections. They welcome them because an objection means the prospect is genuinely engaged and contemplating buying the product. They just need clarity, reassurance, or a shift in their mindset and perspective. The truth is, if you're not getting objections, then you're probably not taking enough calls. They're a natural part of the sales process. People get scared, people have fear, people lack clarity and certainty. But your ability to objection handle well will kind of dictate how much you make as a closer and dictate how good of a closer you are. In this module, I'm going to show you how to handle every major objection that you'll face. I'm going to cover why prospects give you objections in the first place, and I'm going to give you the frameworks you need to actually just close more deals. Before we dive into the specific objections, I want you guys to understand why people actually give objections in the first place, so you have a better understanding of how to handle them because you know why they're there. The first thing being fear of making the wrong decision. People are afraid of buyer's remorse. They don't want to do something and regret it later. They're worried that they're going to invest money, time, and energy into something that won't work. Your job is to remove that fear by shifting their perspective, providing clarity and confidence moving forward. The second thing is a need for control. When you're asking someone to make a decision, they can feel pressured, and objections give them a sense of control back. They're testing you to see if you really believe in what you're selling. The third thing could be a lack of trust. They don't actually completely trust the influencer, you, or the product. Or sometimes themselves, they don't trust that they'll show up to the calls and actually make it work. Trust is built through the entire marketing process, the entire sales process, and throughout the entire call. The fourth thing is the logical justification. Even if they emotionally want it, they need logical reasons to back up that decision. Objections are their way of finding that logic through you handling them correctly. Understanding this psychology is crucial because it shifts how you respond to objections. You're not arguing with them, you understand what the objections are, and you're helping them overcome their own limiting beliefs. Never get defensive. The moment you get defensive, you lose frame because they feel like they're in control. because why are you fighting them? Stay calm, confident, and empathetic. When an objection comes up, follow this simple formula. Acknowledge it, show that you understand what they're saying. Isolate it, make sure it's the only thing standing in their way by saying, money aside, would you do it? What is actually stopping you? 3, reframe it, shift their perspective on the objection and what's actually stopping them. And then 4, close the deal. This framework works for pretty much every objection that you'll face. Now, let's break down the most common objections that you're going to get and how to face each one. So the first objection, and what's going to be the most common objection that you face as a sales rep, is going to be that I need to think about it objection. Now, the main thing to understand about the think about it objection is that it is just a smokescreen. It's not the real actual cause of the objection. So the first step is to remove the smokescreen and actually get to the bottom of what they're saying. What they're really saying is that I'm not convinced yet, I'm afraid to make the decision, or there's something logistical that I need to actually figure out. So here is how you handle it. The first thing you do is acknowledge it. Totally understand. Thinking about it aside though, do you feel like the program is actually capable of getting you where you want to go? And then why? Oh, just everything we went over, I need X, Y, Z so I can fix this problem so I can get to where I want to be. Okay, so if you feel like this can actually get you to where you want to be, then what is kind of the gap? What do you feel like is holding you back? And then they'll say something like, oh, just money wise, I don't have that, or I don't know if I want to spend that much, or I'm scared to spend that much. And that's where you actually get to the core root of the objection, which leads me to the next objection, which is it's too expensive or I don't have the money. Now, if they genuinely don't have the money, then you just have to break it down into a payment plan and make it more digestible for them. But if they just think it is too expensive, this is how you handle it. This is very rarely about the actual price, and it's more so about the perceived value and certainty that they're going to get from it. If they saw enough value, then they would find the money. So your job is to reframe the investment. So step 1 is to clarify the actual issue. I understand, but can I ask, is it more so that you don't actually have the money there, or is it more you're just not actually sure if it's worth the investment? This then separates a value problem from a money problem. If it's a money problem, payment plan. But if it's a value problem, this is what you do. You reframe the cost by bringing up what they told you in info gathering. Okay, but let's put this in perspective. You told me not having the skill set is causing you to obviously not have any money, so that you can't look after your family, you can't look after yourself, and you continue to live this reality where you just don't feel fulfilled, you're not in a good position, and you kind of just hate your situation, right? Yes. What would it be worth to actually get to that position, to look after your family, look after yourself, and finally feel fulfilled and satisfied with your life? What you're going to do is you're going to reframe them to understand the pain of where they're at and basically understand the value of the program that comes from the transformation that they want. If they genuinely don't actually care to change, then this might not fix the problem. But if they do genuinely want to change and they actually do want their goal, then they will understand. Another thing you can do is push them on cost of inaction. What happens a year from now if you continue to think the same way and keep making decisions how you've made them your entire life? You need to get them to understand that the reason this seems expensive right now for them is because they don't have money. But if they had the skills, they would have more money and they would then not look at it as a big investment. And then when it comes to actually getting them to make the decision, something you can do is explain to them that version of yourself that you told me about, right? That's living the life, they have the things, they're looking after their family, they're financially comfortable. Do they get deterred by having to invest in their skills and their knowledge? Or do they do it anyway, even though it might be uncomfortable? They do it anyway, right? So how committed are you to becoming that version of yourself and starting to make decisions like that person? The third objection, which you should really just prevent, is the I need to talk to my partner or my spouse objection, because realistically, that's one question that you ask before you go into your pitch, where it's, is there anyone else that's going to be involved in making this decision? So you should pre-handle that. But if they say yes and they still hit you with it, here's how you handle it. Of course, I completely respect that. Making decisions together is important. But out of curiosity, bro, like who is responsible for showing up to the calls and actually learning the skills and making sure this works? You are, right? So if you're responsible for looking after the family, learning the skills, attending the calls, and actually improving your family's situation, does it really make sense for us to go put that responsibility on someone else? Because you can try to put responsibility on them, but what is that going to do for anyone, right? Earlier, you told me that your family is the reason why you want to do this, right? So you can look after them. So they can't be the reason that you don't do it. So bro, I mean, how committed are you to actually stepping into the shoes and understanding that heavy is the head that wears the crown, and start making these difficult decisions for yourself and for your family? Really committed. Okay, let's do it. The last objection is them just saying that I'm not sure if this would work for me. This objection is just self-doubt and lack of trust in the process. They're worried that they'll fail or that they're somehow different to everyone else that has succeeded with it. Isolate the concern. I appreciate your honesty, but what specifically makes you unsure? The program itself or your ability to actually show up and do what's necessary? When they say they're just not sure if they are going to show up, then you can say, I get it, but let me ask you, have you ever committed to something and seen it through before? And they will say yes. And then you can say, so you know you can do it when it matters. Does this matter? And they'll say yes. And then reframe the social proof and let them know. We've had other people come in and obviously succeed with this. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of the testimonials and results that we've gotten. So if other people can do it, then what makes you think you can't? No, I probably can. So if other people have become successful with the same information, who dictates whether or not you become successful with it? I am. Okay, so it's pretty simple then, bro. Like, are you willing to be the person and become the person who shows up and makes it happen? Yes. Okay, cool. Let's start. And those are the main few objections that you're going to get. They're going to be fear-based or logistic-based or smoke screens, basically. Some of the more advanced objection handling techniques are reframes. So I'm going to give you some of my favorite reframes. One of the most common ones is just the what if reframe, which means you are basically future pacing the prospect on what happens if they don't. What happens if you don't do this? Where will you end up 6 months from now? A year? And what happens if you do it and you make it work? What scenario would you rather live with? Then there's the binary reframe, which is really, really powerful in objection handling. And it's basically just going, there's two types of people in this situation, or there's two types of versions of yourself right now, or there's two versions of you, bro. There's the version of you that's living the life you want to be living and who you are right now. You need to start making decisions like that version of yourself, who you want to be. Those are a few simple reframes, and one of my favorite closes is the commitment close, and all that is you saying, how committed are you to XYZ? If you just did a binary reframe, you can say, how committed are you to stepping into the shoes of that person that you want to be? Or if you got a spouse objection, you can say, how committed are you to being the version of yourself who's looking after your family and making those difficult decisions? The reason this is a good close is because you're asking them how committed are they to making the change rather than just trying to get them to buy. So that, for the most part, is how you handle objections. Now, if you really want to start to hone your skill set, the best ways to do so are by role playing with colleagues or mentors, or if you're inside a sales academy like my Inner Circle, you can role play with other people in that training group to really start to develop your skill set and make sure that when you do get on calls, you know exactly how to handle each objection. Also, make sure you're recording all of your calls and all of your role plays and getting them reviewed by your sales trainer or whoever's teaching you how to sell so that you can get way better, way quicker. Just remember, objections are not the enemy, they're opportunities, and every objection is an opportunity to actually prove to yourself how good of a closer you are, to be able to provide even more knowledge, even more guidance, and help the prospect change their mindset even more so that they can make the right decision for their future. All right, now let's talk about the part that actually matters, and that is getting hired and getting your first sales role. You can role play all day, you can train all day, but this is where rubber meets the road. Are you actually going to get into a role and perform in that role? That's what really matters. That's the only thing that's actually going to get you paid. Here's the reality. Most people go about landing roles the completely wrong way. They start reaching out to huge creators that don't even check their own DMs, asking them to hire them as a setup. They send out cookie cutter resumes to a bunch of different job sites and nobody gets back and they don't know why. You got to remember, if you want to be hired by someone on a good offer, then you're going to have to come to them correct. And after helping hundreds of people land high ticket sales roles, one thing I've learned is that there is far better ways to get your first role. If you're trained and you're actually a good sales rep and you implement these methods, I guarantee that you'll have a role within the next 2 weeks. So let's get to work. Step 1, you need to build your target list. Before applying to work anywhere, you need to build a list of businesses that are actually going to be worth working for, and you need to build a list of offers that you would actually work on. The key about this is being strategic about what businesses you want to work for. So here are the two most effective ways of actually landing that first high quality opportunity. Strategy 1 is the Facebook ads library. This is one of the most underutilized strategies out there, and it's very simple. The top companies in any industry are spending lots of money every single month on ads. These are the businesses that are scaling and they need sales teams to handle the influx of leads, and that's exactly where you want to be. Here's how to use it. Go to the Facebook ads library.com. In the filter section, search for the niche that you want to work in, whether that's fitness, money, real estate coaching, whatever. Then within 30 seconds, you have a list of 20 plus companies that are spending money on ads to scale their businesses. Go ahead and add every single one of these companies to your target list. The reason this works is because if they're spending money on ads, that means they're generating leads from those ads. That means they need people to close those leads. That's where you come in. In most cases, these businesses are going to be making so much money that if you just go to their website, they probably have a work with us form or somewhere where you can actually apply to join their team. You can search for any niche like fitness coaches, business coaches, anything. If there's a niche out there, there's probably someone selling info in that niche. Strategy 2 is find top performers on Skool. Skool is Alex Hormozi's community platform where there's a ton of communities that are high ticket where they teach people all kinds of different things. So here's what to do. Go to Skool, go to the Discover section, look for paid communities that sell high ticket products or services. Filter specifically for paid groups because obviously the free groups are a waste of time for us. Try to pay attention to the pricing. If a group costs $20 a month, they probably have a high ticket offer as well. Cross-reference with their Instagram to see if they have a link in a bio or that you can book a call. And if you can, they're worth reaching out to. Remember, what you're looking for here is any product or service that is worth over $2,000. That's high ticket and that's what you want. Add these to your list as well, and you should have at least 10 to 20 companies that you can potentially work for now. Now, here's something a lot of people neglect, and that's actually tracking what they're doing. So you need to actually put all the businesses that you're finding and applying to in a spreadsheet. If you're just throwing applications into the void without tracking them, then you don't actually know who you've reached out to and who you haven't. Some of these roles can literally be life-changing, so you can't afford to be sloppy. So what you want to do is create a simple spreadsheet with these columns: company name, industry and niche, website, application status, contact person, follow-up date, and notes. This keeps you organized and ensures that you can actually follow up properly. And it also prevents you from applying to the same place twice like an idiot. Step 2, building out your resume even if you have no experience. Let's address the elephant in the room. Most of you guys watching this don't have any sales experience yet. And that's fine, because neither did I when I landed my first role. Your resume doesn't need to be fancy. It just needs to position you correctly. It should take you less than 30 minutes to create a resume using just like a free online resume builder. Here's what to include: a professional summary. This is just a 2 to 3 second pitch about who you are and what you bring. Make sure you have a skills section where you list out all your relevant skills, even if you haven't worked as like a sales rep yet. This would be things like communication and persuasion, customer service, objection handling, time management, active listening, problem solving. This could all just be stuff that you learn at a retail job. 3, your work history. This is where you reframe everything. Take your previous work experience and relate it to sales. Instead of delivered pizzas and washed dishes and took orders from customers, right? Developed essential sales skills, including public speaking and customer service in a fast-paced environment. Became proficient in upselling techniques, increasing average sales per customer by 20%. Built rapport with diverse clientele, resulting in repeat business and positive reviews. That's what you need to do. Take whatever experience that you have in any work environment and relate it to what you're applying for. 5, a brief conclusion, which is just a 1-sentence statement reiterating your interest and value. An example could just be: ready to bring my communication skills, work ethic, and commitment to a high-performing sales team. Step 3 is then your outreach strategies. Applying through a company website is fine, but if you really want to stand out, then it's good to outreach directly. Here's how you can increase those chances of actually getting hired from outreach dramatically. The LinkedIn follow-up method. After you apply to a company, search that company on LinkedIn and find the sales manager or head of sales. Send them a message directly on LinkedIn or Instagram, and you can use this exact script. Hey John, I just applied to company name and I'm really excited to hear back and see what the next steps look like. Looking forward to connecting. That's short, direct, and professional, and it will increase your rate of actually being looked at. It works because you're showing initiative, covering your bases, and putting your name in front of the people hiring. Most people don't do this, so you immediately stand out. Now, what if the company has no application page and aren't actively hiring and you have to genuinely outreach them? Here's how you do it. Now, most people's cold outreach is terrible, and I know because I get outreach. Most people message me and they say something like, hey Marcel, I'm a setter. Let me know if I can sell for your company. Let me know if you're hiring. This gets ignored 99% of the time because it creates no urgency and provides zero value. It's literally just another person asking for something. Let me tell you a story that will change how you think about outreach. Within the last month, I've probably received 30 to 40 DMs of people wanting to edit for me, work for me, close for me, set for me, whatever. And all of them just said, hey bro, can I have a job, pretty much. Cool, but there's no urgency for me to respond. Then every now and then someone will message me and they'll send me a Loom video, or they'll send me a document, or they'll send me a personalized video explaining what they want to do for my business and how it would be positive for my business and who they've done it for. If I watch this video and I'm like, okay, he's done it for this guy and he got really good results, and he's explaining to me how he would do it for my specific business, that's a lot of upfront value that makes me want to instantly respond and figure out more. When you do outreach and you provide value up front, you have such a higher response rate, and you're actually going to want to hire that person. Another method is the work for free method. You could send a DM to any influencer or company that you want to work for and say, hey, I love what you do. I've heard good things about your company and about your program. I would love to work for you guys. Work for free just to go through all the old leads in your pipeline. Here's the thing, no company is actually going to let you work for free. But when a sales manager sees this message, they think, well, this guy is hungry and motivated. Let's give him an interview. That's the point. You're willing to work for free because you're hungry, so they want you on the team anyway. Another method is the prove yourself first method. This takes a little more effort, but if you execute on it effectively, you're basically guaranteed an offer. Here's how it works. Find an online coach or someone that you would like to work for. Play the role of a prospect and send them a DM asking for help. They'll start a conversation with you trying to get onto the call, and then they'll give you a booking link. save that booking link. Now go through their followers, use that booking link to book them calls by using the same appointment setting framework that they used on you. Book 2 to 3 calls for that influencer, screen record the conversations, send them to the influencer and say, hey, I just booked you 3 qualified calls using your booking link. Let me know how those calls go. What happens next is they bring you onto the team, because why wouldn't they? You just went and took your own initiative to get them 3 calls. It might take a day or 2 to set those appointments, but you could get a life-changing role from it. Step 5 now is crushing the interview. You've gotten a response. They want you on the team. They give you an interview. Here's how you perform in that interview. This is where you really find out about your sales ability for the first time ever, because you are now selling the client on why they should hire you. So if you can't get hired on an interview, that's because your sales skills aren't good enough yet. A big mistake people make is they think because it's remote work that you can just look like you rolled out of bed, but you want to look sharp, you want to have a nice haircut, you want to look clean, you want to make sure you have a good background, because these people are going to be thinking this guy's going to be taking calls for me. So if you come on the interview looking unprofessional or not like someone they want taking their calls, they're probably not going to hire you. Now, I collected my first $1 million in my dad's basement, but I just had a blank wall behind me. So your backdrop doesn't need to be pretty, just needs to not be distracting. Then just be yourself, but professionally. That's how you want to show up in an interview. You want to be authentic, be yourself, but also be calm, concise, and professional. And show how hungry you are to do well for the company. A lot of times people will hire just based off hunger and attitude rather than actual talent. If you have no sales experience, just own that. You don't need them to believe in your sales experience. You need them to believe in you. One of my inner circle members, Sarim, had 0 sales experience, but he got on an interview with a company and they just hired them because they liked his attitude and his hunger. He had so much confidence and conviction through the training that he had got that he was able to just deliver the message that he wanted to deliver and get hired. Authenticity wins. Another thing you want to do is ask questions. One of the biggest ways to do well in an interview is to get really good at asking questions at the end. Let's say an interview is 30 minutes. The first 20 minutes is going to be the sales manager asking you questions. And in the last 10 minutes, I'll say, do you have any questions for us? This is your moment to shine. If you ask good questions, the sales manager knows that you know your stuff. There's 3 goals with the questions that you ask, and that is show the sales manager that you know what you're talking about, establish yourself as an authority, and come from a place of abundance, not neediness. Some examples of what these questions could look like are, what does success look like to you guys in the first 90 days in this role? What's the average close rate of your top performers? What kind of training do you guys provide? How do you support your sales team when they hit roadblock? What's the commission structure for your top performers? What is the biggest struggle your sales team is facing right now? What's the typical sales cycle from lead to close? These questions demonstrate that you're actively trying to think and imagine yourself in the role and how you would be performing well in that role. Step 6 is the minimum daily activity. If you want to land a role within the next 14 days, here's what you're going to have to commit to. The daily minimum is going to be 10 to 20 outreach messages a day and 3 to 5 application submissions a day. That's it. That's the absolute minimum. All of these strategies worked. They've worked for me and I've seen them work for dozens of others. Set a timer, block out time, make it non-negotiable. Most people fail because they apply to 2 or 3 places and they get rejected and they just give up. Don't be like most people. Now, not every opportunity is worth taking. Here are some red flags that you should walk away from. If they make vague or unrealistic promises, like you can make 50K in your first month, if there's no clear compensation structure, like they can't explain to you how much you'll be making or how much you get paid or how you get paid. If someone asks you to pay them for a role, never say yes. If they use high pressure tactics and they're like really trying to hire you. If you don't get training or support, you're just expected to figure everything out on your own. If the product feels sketchy or unethical, then probably don't do it. Or if they have bad reviews for their program or from past employees. Landing a role isn't about luck or having the perfect strategy or the perfect resume or heaps of experience. It's about being strategic, persistent, and having the right mindset and conviction and confidence in who you are and the value that you provide. The opportunity's out there. There is still a lack of quality closers in the market. The difference between you and everyone else is you're going to take action. Stop overthinking it. Stop waiting for the perfect opportunity. Stop expecting it to be easy and go out there and get what you want. Start applying for roles today, because your first commission check and you actually getting out of your job is on the opposite side of you just doing some hard work. So now at this point, you know how to sell, you know how to set, you know how to land a role. So now I actually want to break down a live sales call that I closed for 6K paid in full when I was closing full time. Can you hear me?
Yes. How's it going, sir?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good.
I've been looking forward to getting on a call with you, man. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from California, Stockton.
Stockton, California.
Yeah.
Nate Diaz.
Yeah, that's right, dude.
Oh, awesome, brother. I've been looking forward to getting on a call with you, man. I know we already had a brief conversation, but can you just tell me a little bit more about what brings you on the call and how we can help?
Yeah, definitely, man. So I've actually been considering getting into sales for some time, and just looking at jobs online, and it's been something that I just feel is a better route for me in the long run. The job I have now is good. It's been great for me to develop my discipline, my mindset, especially coming out of college. I feel like I was in a bit of a party phase, and I was a bit immature, so I needed to mature a bit more and to get my priorities straight in life and figure out what I actually wanted to be and who I was. And so the 2.5 years at this company has been good for that. It's been great. It's allowed me to save a bit of money. And just like I said, just looking further ahead, I want to be able I want to be able to capitalize on the internet, and I just feel like sales is where I'm supposed to be, to be honest.
So at this point, I'm thinking he's kind of sold himself on his current job. He was like, it's been really good for my growth, XYZ. And he's talking about all the things that are good for his current position. But then he did say at the end that he feels like he wants to change, and sales is kind of the thing he wants to get into. So the first thing is, where are you at right now, and establishing, is he actually okay with his job? Does he like it? So what are you doing for work at the moment, man, that kind of gave you that discipline and gave you like that almost enlightenment that you needed?
Yeah, so my current job is I'm an inspector at construction sites. So I test the dirt when they put it back into the ground with like a gauge that has like a nuclear tip, and it shoots radiation. And I think just the job itself is a bit, I've always been good at talking to people, and I've always been good at making friends in social situations and whatnot. But I think I was lacking a bit of grit, a bit of drive, some of the things that make, that push people to want to be successful. And being at this job, you're in the beating sun all day. There's dust everywhere, so your eyes are burning. It's just a bunch of dudes that are like kind of like tough dudes. So it's kind of a harsh environment, and it's kind of a miserable place to be. There's a lot of suckiness and suffering involved. And so when I was first there, I was just like, God, this is kind of miserable. This sucks, man. And I had to change my mindset to be more grateful, to tackle the day more, to build my habits better, and all these things, and the change of the mindset, all these things have come together to where now I'm not miserable there. I'm grateful for the day. I'm grateful for the small things, and I'm much more organized, focused. I communicate with people on site better. It's just been a great environment for me to mature.
Interesting take on his situation then, because as I said, the first thing you want to establish is, why is it not okay to stay where you're at? Like, what is the issue with your current situation? That's why I asked, what are you doing for work? And then he went into selling basically himself on why his current situation is bad. It's miserable, hot, it's long days, there's a bunch of people around that you don't necessarily get along with. And then he said he's come to be grateful for it, right? And he's kind of grown in his mindset. But you can tell there is pain attached to the current situation. You can tell that there will be some type of urgency. So now it's about trying to figure out, okay, like, why is it actually important for you to leave them? Like, if you're now in this state of gratitude and you don't need it anymore, why change, right? So, because I was working in construction as well, but I was a laborer, right? So I was like doing all like the bullshit jobs, heavy work, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I was kind of in the same position. I was like, everyone here is miserable. This sucks. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. But for better or worse, I didn't get grateful. I just got even more discontent, and I just said, fuck it, I'm going to try something else. And that's how I ended up here. Man. So it's good that you can feel, grateful for what you have. Obviously, I think that's like one of the best things that we can do, right? But even though you feel grateful and you're happy to have that position, and you're you're enjoying it, why the change? So that's exactly what I did just say. If you are in this state of gratitude and you do feel happy with your situation, even if you don't necessarily like it, I left it open-ended, and I was just like, why change then? If your situation's good and you're grateful for it, why change? And now I allow him to kind of riff on what he doesn't like and what he wants to actually achieve.
I want more for myself, man. I just want more for myself. I want to make more money. I want to be able to surf. I like surfing. So I want to be able to go make some money by the ocean, be able to surf, be able to meet new people. I know there's more for me out there, At one point, I was like, all right, this can't be it, man. This can't be my life. Just walking around in trenches, you know what I mean? And I was like, I need to start like changing who I am to get there.
No, that's the exact same, literally the exact same position I was in. Is I was working at, like, since I was young, right? I was like, I know I'm meant to do something big. So do you feel like
Right.
you're kind of not pursuing like your potential in a sense, or how do you feel?
I feel like I that's a good question, man. I feel like I've hit that curve where I've grown to a certain level and I'm like, okay, I've taken all the lessons that I needed to take at this level, you know? I'm ready for the next level. Part of me is I'm really into fitness. I'm a pretty fit guy, and that's another big part of what's been important for me as well. I think I always planned on leaving. I always planned on doing more. I wanted to reach a certain personal development level before I stepped out of that job, before I started to move on. So I had always planned on moving on, but I just felt like I had to grow myself, and I've reached that. I've reached a certain level of growth where I'm ready for the next thing.
So I basically wanted to figure out why he would want to change. And then we got to talking about his potential. And he pretty much said like he's always wanted to leave that job. He's never seen it as something long term, but he wanted to hit a certain level, right? So this is where we start to be able to build urgency, because it's like, okay, so you built yourself up to this point. How much longer are we going to allow ourselves to stay in this cycle? How much longer are we going to just continue to be like, I'm going to leave, but not actually do anything about it? And that's where you can start to actually build urgency, which is what's going to get someone to take action.
Okay, so you feel like you kind of had something to achieve in your current role and you achieved that, and now you're ready for like the new chapter almost.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
What you'll notice I do now, going off that, is he pretty much said he wanted to like start a new chapter in his life, right? Me hearing that, I was like, okay, so what does this new chapter look like? And then once we get to understand what is the transformation this person wants to make, what do they actually see their life looking like, then we get to facilitate that transformation. If we can get them to have the mindset shifts they need to make, get a clear vision of what that new chapter looks like, it's going to be a lot easier for them to start to take steps towards it. So this is what I start to do now. I start to create this vision and create this end outcome that he's after. Because if he can see that clearly, he's going to feel way more compelled to actually take action towards it.
That's good to hear, man. And I guess for you at the moment, what do you see that new chapter consisting of? Like, what are the main things that you're like, this is what's the new chapter is?
I think for me, I want to build some sort of personal brand on social media. I think I got to work on some editing skills, or if I pay someone, I haven't decided what I want to do yet, but doing something along those lines, whether it's fitness, personal development, and also going off your question, the new chapter would also be getting some autonomy in where I'm able to make money, because I do plan on moving. I currently live in Stockton, but I plan on moving to either Santa Cruz or Miami, Florida. So those are like my two locations that I'm considering moving. I'm kind of leaning towards Santa Cruz because I enjoy surfing. Those are big, powerful waves there. And I could make some money, do sales, do my social media, wake up early, surf. It'll be killer. You know what I mean? Or Miami, the waves are a bit smaller, less powerful. It's not as intense. You know what I mean? But I feel like Miami's good energy, so I want to be where the good energy's at too. So I'm kind of torn right now. I got some good friends who are like, similar mindset.
So basically what he just did there was cast a vision for himself, right? Which is really good, because now I also understand what he's wanting to achieve. He's starting to create a vision in his head of what success looks like. That's going to be a more emotionally charged sort of decision-making process if he knows like there's this life that he wants right here and he just needs to go get it. So that's why it's good that he's talking about these things through the questions that I've asked, because now we get to go, okay, here is where we want to be. Then we can look back, okay, here's where we're at. What is stopping us from already being here? And that's when you can go into actually pitching.
I guess the main goal then is to just put you in a position financially and with your work where you can choose wherever you want to go. Like even if you go to Miami and then you go, I want to go to Santa Cruz for a few months, just give you that autonomy and that freedom to kind of move around as you please.
Yes, exactly, man. Exactly.
So what I did there was just like basically reaffirm how we actually get to that goal. It's like, okay, so in order to do that, what do we actually need to do? We need to make more money. How do we make more money? We learn the skills that allow us to make more money.
So, man, you mentioned like kind of building a personal brand, like almost what I'm doing, which is something that we've just started to expand into as well, right? So now we're focusing on sales, but also branding and marketing and those sort of things as well. So that's perfect, that you want to do that, because we'll actually be able to facilitate all the knowledge, training and stuff you need to do that. What do you see, like, how do you think your life will be different, I guess, once you kind of start making money online and you start being able to move around and do these things?
So that might sound like a repeat question, but it's not, because there's a difference between him saying, I want XYZ, compared to him saying, I want XYZ because I'm going to feel different. So what I did with this question was like, okay, that's the vision. How are you going to feel different once you've achieved that vision? Because then he actually starts to have emotionally charged thoughts towards that, right? Which means he's going to be more compelled to actually make it happen.
I think it'll be a bit more purpose driven, a bit more, I don't want to say I'll enjoy it more, because I've worked hard to enjoy where the level that I'm at, but almost I feel like regardless, I'm going to enjoy more living. I mean, how could you not? You're living with purpose. You're pushing, you're fulfilling, we talked about us feeling like we were meant to be, we felt like, we had something special. We could do something with our lives. If you're chasing that, I'm expecting it to be I'm expecting it to feel different, I'm expecting it to feel different, so I think just looking forward to the consistency and enjoying the process.
Yeah, no, it does feel different, man. Like,
if you can't tell, like, by his answer, it was more emotionally charged, right? And not only am I listening to what he's saying and understanding what he's saying, but I'm also understanding that he said it's going to feel more purpose driven. It's going to feel more like he's going to feel better. He's going to have a better quality of life. So the fact that he's saying those things will improve, what can we tell about his current situation? It means he doesn't necessarily feel super fulfilled. It means it doesn't necessarily feel like he's got purpose right now, and that his quality of life isn't necessarily good. So not only is he in pursuit of that, but he doesn't have the level of it that he wants right now. So those are all good things to actually take note on. And to remind you, basically what we're doing is like, here is the goal. Here's how it's going to feel. Here's where we're currently at. Here's why this feels bad and why we actually have to change.
The main thing is, like, I guess moving with intention as well. Like, you have a goal, have more life in you when there's something that's like what you're trying to achieve is like, this is how I want to live, but I'm not living like that, but I know I can. And that's your
right.
goal. Is that right?
Right. 100%. That's it.
All right. So your goal then is to kind of achieve your dream life. So if we can get a bit clearer on that then, right? Let's say like 6 months from now, are you still working your job? Are you doing this full time? How much are you making? What does that look like?
What I'm doing with that question is trying to actually like establish an even clearer vision of where he wants to be in a certain time frame, right? Because it's all fine to be like, okay, I want to live this life, but why is that important? When is it important? Is it okay to get there in 3 years from now? Or do you want to be there in 3 months, right? And what you do by doing this is you get to tie people down across the board. You get to tie them down in regards to their time. You get to tie them down in regards to their finances, everything, right? So by asking this question, if he then says, oh, I don't want to get started or I don't want to do it, it's like, okay, that's fine. But if you don't, then you're not going to get that life in 6 months because you're not making decisions like the type of person who would be there in 6 months.
6 months from now, I'm not working my job. I am, doing remote sales or copywriting.
Is sales what you've settled on, or are you still kind of like trying to figure out what it is that you want to do?
I'm like 100% on sales, man. I'm actually working on building my brand, and I have a consistent schedule, and I'm following that schedule every morning throughout the day.
And you said copywriting as well. So is sales what you've settled on, or are you still kind of like trying to figure out what it is that you want to do?
He mentioned copywriting as well as sales. This is why it's so important as a sales rep to listen and be actively listening and digging into everything that the prospect says. This is the number one thing that I see like sales reps in training struggle with is they don't dig and they don't listen to what the prospect is saying. So many times when I see a role play, the sales rep will role play and someone will say something and they won't dig into it at all. But you need to dig into what the prospect's saying, because then if you let stuff like that slip, it's going to pop up as an objection later. If I didn't check him on that later in the call, if I then pitch him in, now he can say, oh, but I want to explore copywriting. So me bringing that up was just a way to nip that in the bud before it became a problem. So is copywriting something that you're trying out as well? No, I'm 100% in sales. Problem solved.
I'm like 100% on sales, man. My friend, he's like trying to convince me to go to copywriting, but we're kind of different. I'm more of like the social guy. You know what I mean? He's kind of like afraid, like he's kind of, I don't want to say he's afraid for like social settings, but he even said, he's like, bro, you thrive off of social interactions, and he's a bit more like timid, I would say. You know what I mean?
Okay, so like a blueprint, and then like guidance, support, having the right people around you. And then obviously with sales, it's like you can't just learn from a course, right? Like you need that real life iteration. So like maybe some training calls as well. So we can get you to where you want to be as quickly as possible. Is that kind of what you think would help?
That's 100% what I know will help me thrive, man. I know it 100%.
Awesome. Where do you think you need to be to, I guess, substitute your current income, or where do you need to be with your monthly income to be able to do everything that you want to do, would you say?
I think to really, rent is expensive. It's actually one of the reasons especially Miami, man, even Santa Cruz, those places it's a lot of money, So I would be looking to make like, I don't know, 8,000 at least, 8,000 a month. Maybe that's if I'm to move, 8,000 to maybe to 10,000 a month. That'd be the dream of me getting my foot in the door, taking off, learning, dedicating myself, and making it happen.
Yeah, that's definitely achievable. I think I got to 10K months after like 6 months of closing. So you can definitely do it. And I guess that's where we'll aim for you, is by 6 months from now, obviously, assuming you put the work in, the time in, and the commitment, have you at a point where you can be making 8 to 10K consistently, so that you can go where you want and always produce that income, provide for, yourself, rent. Obviously, you don't have a super luscious lifestyle in terms of like driving McLarens and shit. So as long as we can get you there in the next 6 months, you can really take it wherever you want long term. Let's say 6 months from now, 8 to 10K a month, every month, you've moved somewhere, you've fully left your job. How do you think you're going to feel once that's the reality?
I think I'm going to feel awesome, man. I think it's going to feel great, being free, being able to organize my days where I'm not tied to a job all day. And I think, I know for a fact, man, that even the hard things, because I know it's not all sunshine and rainbows, even the things that are difficult and the things that kind of surprise me, I'm like, man, this part might not be great. Even those things I know I'm going to handle well because I did in my last job. So I think it's going to work out.
Yeah, don't think, man. Make it happen.
I will, man. I will.
You always talk about, like, I hear people say, like, I wish this, I think that. It's like everything that I've been doing recently is just like, you got to already be the person, right? So like you need to make sure that you're already the person who is making 10K a month before you can make it. You know what I mean?
Right. I know what you mean.
You need to see it. You need to be able to see it with clarity. You need to genuinely believe with like
Basically what I'm doing here is just like working on his mindset a little bit, because he's like, I think I would get through it, XYZ. But you want the person to be like 100% sold. So when an opportunity like this to just kind of work on their mindset arrives, you can just handle that ahead of time. You know what I mean?
You're being, I guess, that it is going to happen, and then it will happen. Okay. And then you obviously, 100%. The clearer you can see it and the more you feel like it is already the reality, it's just a matter of time. The more you act day by day in accordance with that. If you feel like for me, I already feel like I'm making 6 figures a month. So now I know it is just a matter of, waiting until that happens. I feel like you would be a good fit for what we do here. I feel like you've got the right mindset. You've got the right morals. It feels like everything in your life has been like building up, and now you're like, okay, time for the next chapter. And I hope we can be a part of that. And I hope we can help you achieve that chapter the way you want to achieve it, through giving you that guidance and that support. So with that being said, man, like obviously this isn't a get rich quick scheme. Right. Like I just said, it takes time, it takes effort.
So pretty much what we just started doing, probably the last like 10 minutes of the call, is we did a little bit of coaching. So if you can provide value to people and you can kind of shift their mindset a little bit on the call, they're going to look at you in a state of more authority, right? Not many people are going to be on a sales calls telling people, don't think, bro, no, right? And actually make it happen. You give yourself a certain level of authority when you say things like that, right? And then also going into like, here's how you're going to do it. Here's the mindsets that you need to have, to where now he's like, okay, this is someone I should listen to. So that's pretty much most of the info gathering. Like I said in the last bit, we've built him up now to this point where it's like, okay, life is about to change. All the things I've done up until this point have been for this. And now it comes to the point where I actually have to take action. Now the question that I'm asking is, let's say you do actually get started. Let's say you do come on board. Are you going to put the work in, right? Now what you're doing with this part is basically getting the prospect to sell you on why they should do it, right? It's like, okay, bro, like we can give you everything, but are you going to show up? Are you going to put the work in? And like, yes. Now they're starting to basically tell themselves they're going to make it happen, which is good.
This is something that all the things that you want to do in life and everything that how you want to be living, do you see yourself actually committing and putting the work into achieving that through, remote closing?
Yes, I do. I do, man. I do. I know it.
Awesome.
So already he just shifted from saying I think to I know. So now he's saying I know I'm going to show up. I know I'm going to make this work. That's what you want your prospect saying.
So you're committed. You got the right mindset. Do you feel like you're at a point now, right? Because I know you mentioned like you're coming to this point. Do you feel like you're at that point where you're ready to take this step and actually, like dive into this and make it happen?
I know for a fact I am, Marcel. I know I am. I've put in the work, I've put in the time, and I'm ready for it.
Now, based off those last two things that he said, I know it's going to work and I know I'm at the point now where I know I need to take action and I'm going to take action. That sets you up for a really good pitch. You know what I mean? Because you're going to see that when we get into the objection handling, he does give me objections and he does try not to do it, but he's already told me he needs to do it. He's already told me he knows he's going to do it. So after he said that, I know for a fact that I'm closing this deal because it makes sense. It just makes sense for him to do it because of what he said, right? And it's nothing that I said. It's conclusions that he came to on his own accord.
Beautiful, man. Let's make it happen, man. So with that being said, then just logistically wise, like I know you're working, but you're ready to fully commit to this. At the moment, like how much time do you see yourself being able to give this a day, like while you're training before you go full time?
While I'm training, I think if I'm to be honest.
So I'm just going to skip the deliverables and me explaining like the amount of coaching calls and the amount of content he's going to get access to, because that looks different for every different program and it's not super important to like the message I'm trying to explain to you guys in this video. But I'll skip to the pitch where I actually drop price and explain how I handle the objections.
How does that sound, man?
That sounds great. Sounds great, Marcel. Sounds awesome.
And that'll make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Beautiful.
It does.
All right, cool. So if you had access to all of that, right? You come in 5 trainings a week, you got me there, you got everyone guiding you through the process, giving you that blueprint, telling you what you need to do at each point. Do you see that actually helping you get to where you want to be, where you're making 8, 10K a month, you're living where you want to live, you're surfing, you've got the lifestyle that you actually want?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt, man.
That's the most important question. Like you're basically saying with everything that we've covered, if you had access to this, would you get to your goal? And like I said, the biggest thing in this call is like I've got a really clear vision of where he wanted to be and where he was at. And he just basically said, without a doubt, the investment is going to get me there. Right. So there's really no objection.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. So if that's the case, then is there any questions you have on any of that stuff that we just covered?
I think I'll have questions as we go along, as we move through the training and, as things progress within, my career with you guys. So as of right now, I think I'm good.
Let's do it, brother. Cool, man. So if you're good and you feel like you want to get started, I can run you through the onboarding process and what that.
So this is how I drop price. You're going to notice through the objection handling, I'm going to let it play for a bit. There's a lot of pauses and I literally just let the pause exist. That's something you got to learn to do in sales, is let it be awkward. Let them try to think of why they shouldn't do it.
But that investment that is going to help you get to those 10K months around that 6-month mark would just be 6,000 USD.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. That's not too much, but it's not too little. It's kind of like...
He said it's not too much and it's not too little. And at that point, I smile because I'm like, I know I'm going to be able to close you. Because he doesn't even think it's too much. Even though a lot of people would take that like, what does he mean?
It's like right in the middle,
Yeah.
I think I'm on board, but I gotta still think about it. I don't feel like I'm ready to make that decision right now, but I'm leaning towards yes. It's as of right now, it's leaning towards a yes.
Yeah.
But as I said, it's not a small amount of money, so probably spend a little bit of time thinking about it. But it sounds like something that I want to do. I think I'm ready to invest into your guys' program and to learn the skills that you guys are offering and to start committing to something, and
he pretty much just said there, like, I should do it. He said, I'm ready to commit. I think the program is great. I still know I'm going to close him, right? But he needs to get out of his own way. And I just got to help him do that.
I'll have to let you know, Marcel. I'll have to let you know.
Okay. So that all made sense to you though?
Yeah, it all made sense.
And you feel like if you had that, like you said, that is going to help you get.
So he just said all of that just to say that I think I need to think about it. And I don't even counter that. I don't even say no. I just say, does that make sense though?
Yeah, it all made sense.
And you feel like if you had that, like you said, that is going to help you get to, 8-10K a month. It's going to help you get that life that you want, right?
100%, man. 100%. Absolutely.
So if that's the case, then
So basically what I'm doing here is like, it's called looping. I just basically say, did it all make sense though? Yes. And do you feel like you would put the work in? Yes. Do you think we're actually going to make this work? Yes. Okay. So what you're doing with this is taking all of those things out, right? He doesn't think the program's not going to work. He doesn't think he's not going to work. So what is the issue? And that's where you uncover what the actual objection is. It's important to remember whenever you get to think about an objection, it's not a real objection. There's something underlying that objection, which could be like fear that you actually don't have the capital. It could be logistical, or it could be something else, right? In this case, it's fear. So he does have the capital. He's just scared to invest. And that's what we kind of work on here.
where do you think the gap is?
I think the gap is just, I worked hard to get that money, and, it's hard to give away that money when I work so hard for it,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really just what it comes down to. I think the program sounds great, sounds trustworthy. I know it's not going to be a quick, rich scheme. I got to put in a lot of work, a lot of hours of training. I know you guys are legit, So I think the only gap is it's like the fact that it's just I worked really hard for that money, and so I'm not very keen on giving it up. That's about
That makes complete sense, man. Like, obviously you probably look at it at the moment as like a certain amount of time that you've put aside to earn that much, right? Have you accumulated all that money for it to just sit there and use that to keep living exactly how you're living? Or do you think you've accumulated that money so that you can actually change your life and start living how you want to actually be living?
Accumulated it so I can change my life,
And
accumulated it so I can change my life.
Are you throwing that money away, or are you investing in yourself as a person? Like, I know you like self-development, all those things. Is this not just you developing yourself closer to, the person that you actually want to be?
It's like you said, it's me developing myself to who I want to be,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It makes sense. It does.
So there's another super long pause there. And basically what I want him to do is he's explaining to me, it makes sense for him to do it. And he knows he needs to do it. And what I brought up there was specifically the fact that he had that vision in his head, right? He had that life that he wanted to be living. So I just brought that back up. I was like, bro, like, you've been working this job, you've been saving up all this money. Is that to just keep living the same reality, or have you done that so that you can actually get to your desired end outcome?
You make that decision, right? There's no going back. It's like, okay, now you have to change your life. Now you have to actually make this work. You have to put the work in, the time in. Once you do this, you're committed. Like you said, you feel like you're ready to make that commitment. You're ready to take that leap. You feel like you've kind of built yourself up to this point where you're ready to start that next chapter. And now we're here, and it's time to make that decision. So
100%.
Would you say like 6 months from now, the Gabriel that's living in Miami or living in Santa Cruz surfing, making 10K a month from home, does he think about it, or does he, take action?
Takes action.
Now, that's something that you can do like every sales call, right? So if someone ever gives you an objection, one of the most powerful things you can do is explain to them that the reason they are where they're at is because they make decisions based off where they're at. I don't have money right now, so I can't invest in myself to fix my situation. For someone to get to where they want to be in life, they need to make decisions based off where they want to go, right? So what I did there, because this is important, I had so much info from the info gathering and I had so much clarity from the info gathering, I was able to ask him, this version of yourself that's living in the place you want to live in, that's making the money you want to be making, how does he make decisions and what decisions does he make? I only allowed that to happen because of the depth that I went into in the info gathering. A lot of deals are won or lost in info gathering. People don't realize it's a lot harder to handle objections when you don't have the info you need.
Takes action, man. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right, man. I think it's about having faith, taking a leap of faith in certain moments in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to your story of, you just worked a month and you hated your job so much, you're like, screw it, I'm just going to do it, man. No, man. Let's do it. Let's do it, man.
Let's do it, brother.
And then I collected the $6,000 PIF, right? But The main thing that I want you guys to take from this specific call is that deals are closed in the info gathering, in the establishing of their current situation and their desired end situation, and the thing that's preventing them from getting from there to there. And when he gave me the objection of I want to think about it, because of what I had done in the info gathering phase by building a clear vision of both, I was able to understand that it doesn't really matter what you say, you need to do this, and I just need to help you make that decision that's best for you, right? And what that looked like in objection handling was getting him to understand he's making decisions based off current version of himself. He's making decisions based off where he's at right now. But how does this guy that's living the life he wants to be living, how does this guy make decisions? And what does he do? And as soon as I asked him that question, he said he takes action. And then I said, what are you going to do? And he said, I'm going to take action. And then we got the PIF. That's how I would handle the think about objection with a prospect. You need to understand what is the actual objection. In this case, it was fear, and then you handle it accordingly. Now I want to show you exactly what it looks like inside this opportunity over a 7-day time frame and how much you can realistically make. Now, the first thing that you need to do is land a role. So one option you guys can take is you can come to just a normal job site like Seek. You can put in a job like appointment setter, which is an entry-level sales role, and you can put specifically a remote role. You'll see offers and you'll see roles that allow you to walk basically straight into a 6-figure a year on target earnings. As you can see, this one here is for a business coaching program, 60 to 90K a year, right off rip. So you can scroll through all these 180K plus. A lot of these roles are basically 6-figure roles that you can walk straight into, right? So this is one option. You can just come here and you can start applying for these roles. The thing that's going to happen typically is they're going to say, what experience do you have? What training do you have? And if you have none, that might be an issue, right? Which is why I always recommend to join some type of training group or sales academy like what I did, because you actually get experience and you get training as well. Another option would be Instagram cold outreach. So if I was to outreach someone, I'd make sure my profile is set up nice and clean. It looks good. And I would find the person who I wanted to outreach. We'll use Brez for this example. He's obviously got a sales manager, right? So don't outreach Brez because you don't fuck with you like that. I would shoot a Loom video, right? So I would go to Loom. It's not going to show my face, but I can't be bothered to set that up. So we're just going to run it. And I'd basically lead with value, right? So I'd be like, yo, Rez, I'm looking at your funnel right now. It looks slick. I know you got a bunch of inbound traffic. Let me just run you through something that we do with our sales team that gets our show rate to 80% and our close rate to 80 to 90%. What we do is we send out a pre-call resource and we tell them to take notes on a specific thing. That thing gets them thinking about their why, their motive, their pain, their problems, so that when they show up to the call, they're not thinking about the potential objections, and basically just pitch them on something in your sales process that is probably way better than what they're currently doing. When you do this, you lead with value. You just tell them what to do. And because of that, they'll probably want to bring you on, right? It is not what I did. Like I said, in the beginning, I was brand new to this. I was a construction worker. I didn't know anything about high ticket sales or how to sell. For example, guys like Brez, TJR, they're not managing the sales teams themselves. They've got a sales manager. And that's why I say joining some type of sales academy or training group where you actually have connections and you have people that are managing offers gives you so much better of a advantage when it comes to landing these roles. The only reason people do really shy away from that ever is because it does typically come with a investment, because no one's going to train you how to sell and make 10, 20, 30, 40, 50K a month for free, right? It's a high ticket investment to learn how to close high ticket. Also, like I said, in this example, I don't actually have to land a role because I have my own offer. So that's what I'm going to be closing on in this example. And that obviously gives me a bit of advantage as well, because I've got the best content in the world and I got the best fulfillment in the world, and you get to learn from me personally myself. So with that being said, let's get into closing. I will see you guys tomorrow and we'll get active and we'll collect some cash. We're back, guys. It is day 2. As you can see on my calendar, I got 3 calls scheduled in for today. I've done the pre-call for 3 of them. 1 of them is unresponsive, but we'll see how we go. We got 1 call booked in for tomorrow already. Let's jump on these calls and let's see how we go. So I know you mentioned you're working in construction right now, and you've been doing that for like the last 5 years, right? So talk to me a little bit about how that's been and where you're at with everything right now.
Honestly, bro, the past 5 years have been pretty shit. I think the first year was okay. And then when I sort of realized I was just doing the exact same thing every single day, I realized my pay wasn't going to go up. Kind of knew that I couldn't be doing it forever. And I guess that's why I'm looking for a change.
Okay, and what does the last 3 years look like? Have you tried anything to make that change yet, or no?
I looked into a few things online, like you always see those ads. But I kind of texted a few people and then never really did anything from there.
Okay. So it's 3 years that you've been wanting to change. You tried something briefly about 6 months ago. And where are you at with everything right now? Like, what is it that you're wanting to do? Is this something that you're sold on yet? Like, what are you actually wanting to get started with?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw one of your videos talking about learning sales, I think that's something that I could be interested in when I work on site. Like sometimes with different foremen come, I'll talk to them about the job, and I think I can talk quite well. And I guess it's always like a good skill to learn. So I think I am ready to start something new.
Where are you at with everything now? Is it like this? Have you invested in like getting that knowledge or getting an education before, or is this like the first time you've kind of looked into it?
First time this is the furthest I've ever got. I guess I invested, I don't know, some time on YouTube.
And how did the YouTube thing go for you?
Just left me at the same spot, really. Not sure what to do.
Beautiful. Okay, so you feel like if you then just had more knowledge, more understanding, and more clarity moving forward, that you'd be able to kind of finally make that transition.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. It's like learning anything. If you have someone there to teach it to you in a way that you understand it, obviously it's going to make it a lot easier for you to progress.
How committed are you at the moment to actually starting to take the action now finally and actually find the education that you need so that you can actually change your situation?
Yeah, I guess ready. Like I said, I think I've found, something I want to do or something I'm interested in looking into and learning. And I've kind of realized that it's up to me to take the first step. So I'm ready. I'm fucking sick of this shit, to be honest.
Awesome. Bro, if that's the case, then I can kind of run you through what we can do to actually help you get there and what that would look like.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So everything that we went over to get you from where you're currently at, actually be able to sit down, learn the tangible skills, get you the community, the guidance, and actually just make the roadmap clear and concise and easy for you to implement it's 8K.
8K, like 8,000.
Yep, 8,000 US.
That's like 8 AUD, isn't it?
I think it's like 12,000 Australian.
Is there any way you can do it any cheaper? Is there any other like deals or payment plans available?
I mean, if you want something cheaper, there is like other options. You can go get a different program. But would you say it's just like nerves around the investment, or is it a matter of like you don't actually have the capital there?
No, I've got the money. I've got the money saved up. It's just a lot of money, if that makes sense.
Okay, money aside, would you do it?
Definitely.
Why?
Because it's everything I need from what I know, it's everything I need to get me to where I want to be. And I do see it working out for me. It's just, quite a bit of money.
Okay, so if it's the thing that's going to get you to where you need to be, then I guess where do you feel like the gap is from you actually just getting started?
Well, I guess I just need access to everything. So I just need to pay.
8K deal, 8K cash. That is a good start to this video. That's all I'm going to say. Good start to the video. Let's get on to the next call.
I've been wanting to get into sales for a couple of months now. So I traveled to Thailand recently, and someone that I got quite close with out there was has had a history in sales, and it's sort of like opened the door of what's possible. I'd always seen people on my Instagram and my TikTok and stuff during lockdown of people making a certain amount of money.
Beautiful. Okay, so you kind of met someone that was doing it. You didn't necessarily think it was real, but then you realized it is real.
Exactly that, yeah.
Sick. Okay, and what are you doing for work at the moment, or what have you been doing up for work up until this point?
So I'm a barber. I've been barbering for the last 2 years.
Got you. And I guess what is the motivation for you to transition out of that into sales?
I'm someone who needs freedom.
Why do you feel like that part, the being able to be remote and move around, why do you feel like that's important to you?
It's just something that's like, I feel like it's integrated in me deeply. I'm someone who needs new things all the time. Like I need to be in a new place, and I'm really bad at staying in the same place for too long. So preferably I'd like a lot of freedom in my movement and able to go wherever I want, whenever I want.
Gotcha. Okay, so you just feel like you need to actually learn the skill. You need to know how to do it, and then obviously be able to get your way into a good role and stuff like that as well.
Exactly, yeah. And I feel like after seeing a lot of your videos and stuff like that, it's definitely something that I think you're the right person to show me how to do it.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, that's definitely achievable. And for all that, bro, it's 8,000 US.
That's quite steep. I don't know if I'm in a financial position to be able to do that, to be honest with you.
I already thought that might be a bit of a problem, bro. There's two types of people, right? There's the type of person who's like, I don't have the money, so I can't do it. And then there's the other type of person who realizes The reason they don't have the money is because they don't have the skills, right? So I know you don't have the entire investment right now, but I guess how committed are you to doing what it takes in order to still get started, even if we don't have, the entire investment there?
Yeah, I mean, I have a certain amount of money that I would be willing to put down, and I know that if I did put that down, I'll put all my time and effort into it. I'm someone from the start of when I started working, I've been a hustler. I can put a lot of effort, a lot of time into it. So I can, I feel like I will definitely be able to get to a point where I can, sort of cover the rest after putting a certain amount of money down.
Right. So what we can do, bro, is we can split it in 4 months, and we can do 2K now. And then we'll do that for the next 3 months. Does that work?
Yeah, that works. I can do that.
Awesome. Let's make it happen, bro. The final call actually no-showed, so we're going to follow up. And I typically in follow-up, I just tell people like, yo, if you're not serious about doing this, that's all good. Best of luck with whatever you go and do, because if you don't show up to the call, then I'm not going to waste my time. But sometimes it's a genuine mistake. So we'll see what the situation was. But this leaves us at $16,000 rev and $11,000 cash collected on the first day of calls. Now, obviously, like I said, I've got experience. We've got the best offer in the world. As a closer, that would be 10% commission. So just today alone on my very first day, I would have made $1,100, which is crazy. That would have taken me a whole week to make in construction, and I just made it in a single day. And obviously, when you have your own offer, you're taking home that 11K. So it's really good. That being said, I'm going to do the pre-call. I'm going to make sure that all my calls that show up tomorrow, because that's really what being a sales rep is. It's not just about being on calls, but it's about being proactive and always being active and making sure that the calls that you have on your calendar are going to show up and that they're going to close, because you can do a lot as a sales rep to make sure you're having more productive calls. So that's what I'm going to do now. I will see you guys tomorrow. That was day 2, $11,000 cash, $16,000 rev. Beautiful day. I love sales. I just do.
Yeah, man. So I work in a retail industry. I've been there for like the past 2 years, and I want to get into high ticket sales and eventually get that location and financial freedom I've been dreaming about.
Awesome, bro. How long have you been working at that retail job?
2 years, man.
And what has the last 2 years been like working that job?
It's been stressful, and yeah, I mean, it's not the best feeling, working there for like 2 years.
Yeah. And why do you feel like now, out of the last 2 years, it's time to actually do something about that?
Yeah, I'm really sick and tired. I cannot provide for my family. I'm 22 now. 2 years ago, I was still young, but I just don't want my life to look the same in the future. Yeah, I want to provide for my family, man.
How does that feeling like it's almost your responsibility to take over, and then you're working this retail job where you're not necessarily going to be able to do that?
Bro, I'm losing respect for myself. It's something that I think of throughout my whole day. And, at times I cannot even sleep at night thinking about this, man.
So you feel like if you had that training, do you feel like you would actually be able to get to that point where you can leave your current job, focus on this full time, scale up, and eventually get to the point where you can look after your family?
Yeah, for sure. 100%, man. No doubt that I will be able to do it.
So do you want me to kind of run you through what that would look like and kind of the different methods and how we would actually go about getting you there?
Yeah, yes, please, man. Yeah.
And it's just 8K, bro.
8K. Man, to be honest with you, I don't have 8K on me. I can only do about 2,200.
Okay, yeah. I thought that might be a problem, bro, but you're basically saying you do want to get started. It's literally just a financial thing to you.
Exactly, man.
Okay. Got you, bro. Well, because I know you are committed to getting started and I do want you to be able to actually take a step today, if you're open to it, what we can do is we can do 2.5 now, and then we have a financing partner we can go through to try to get access to the rest. Is that something you'd be open to?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
2,500 in. Got to finance the rest, so that should be a piff by the end of the week. That's a good start to the day. I don't miss. I really do not miss. Got you. How long have you been doing retail for?
I've been doing it for the past 2 years.
Okay, so what has that 2 years been like?
Pretty much just been like watch this and repeat. So I would like wake up and usually I'm just like same people, like folding clothes, putting clothes up, making sure everything's right. But pretty boring to say the least.
100%. Okay, so if you were to actually get the guidance, get the knowledge, and you now actually know exactly what to execute on and how to learn the skill, let's say 6 months, 12 months from now, where do you actually want to be?
Definitely hitting that like 10K a month mark. To start like 5K for sure, just because then that would completely give me the eligibility to quit my job.
And in regards to actually getting there, you feel like the only sort of piece that's missing is the knowledge, is actually being able to implement.
Well, like, yeah, that's like by far like the biggest thing that I'm lacking right now.
I guess how committed are you to going out and finding that information and being able to actually make it happen?
I would say like right now, honestly.
And do you feel like you're at the point now where you're ready to actually take that step and commit to this and actually make it happen?
Yes and no, I would say.
Yeah, obviously, like getting out of your comfort zone, there's that fear and there's that skepticism, I guess, bro. But there's going to be two types of people. There's a type of person who's like, this is scary and it's fearful, so I'm not going to do it and I'm just going to stay where I'm at forever. Or I understand that there's fear and there's the unknown here, but I understand that going through that fear and doing the things that are hard is where I grow, is where I develop, and that's kind of where I can start to get the life that I want. So out of those two people, do you feel like you're the first one where you kind of let that fear control you, or are you more the second one where it's like, I understand that's kind of the reason I have to do it because I need to get uncomfortable to change my situation?
I would say two, because I'm at the like point in time now where it's like I'm not getting any younger. Like I definitely need to do something to change, but yeah.
So you would say that you're at a point where you're willing to overcome that fear so that you can make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, if you want, bro, I can kind of run you through what we would do to make it happen and to actually get that knowledge.
Yeah, man. What are you kind of thinking?
It's 8K, bro.
8K. Okay. Oh, wow. That's a lot of money that I don't really have right now. I do have some saved up, but not 8K.
Got you. Okay, but money aside, would you do it?
Money aside, yeah.
Okay, so it's not necessarily like fears or nerves around the investment. You would do it. You literally just don't have the entire investment.
Yeah, that's what I would. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, bro, and you are committed and you do want to do it, what we can do is split it in half. We can do 4K now, and then we can go through one of the funding partners to get the remaining 4K. Is that something you'd be open to?
You said 4K?
Yeah, so what we can do is we can organize one of our funding partners and he'll actually help you get access to the other half. And that way we can have the whole thing squared away for a year within the next week.
Okay. Awesome, man. I guess, yeah, let's do it.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
So those last two, we got 2,500 and then 4,000. So we're going to finance the rest as well. So we should have both of those piffed by the end of the week. So far on this challenge, we've collected $17,500 cash, which is literally already $1,750 profit in just 3 days. So that's a good start to the challenge if you ask me. Once again, like I said before, I've got a super high close rate and that's because I'm in control of everything on this offer, right? So the fulfillment, the marketing, and the calls are obviously all mine. And I also control the lead flow and the lead quality. So I've got the unfair advantage here, but it is pretty crazy that if you were closing, you would have made already almost $2,000. That's all the calls for today. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. We've got no calls booked for tomorrow, but I'll tap in with you guys anyway and we'll go from there. Alright, Wagwan family. So today's a bit of a slower day. We don't have any calls booked and that's okay, right? Sometimes the lead flow isn't crazy. Sometimes you're not going to have a completely packed calendar. But I do want to use this time to touch on the point of really what separates a good closer from a bad closer. And what that is, believe it or not, is activity, right? So it's not necessarily about being the most talented closer ever. It's not necessarily about having the best objection handling, but how active are you as a closer? And that's really what's going to separate the winners from the losers in this sales game. The best reps I know are the ones who start every day on zero. And if you don't collect any cash that day, then it's an unsuccessful day, right? So even on a day like this, what I would do is make sure that I'm following up with leads. I'm checking the pipeline. I'm making sure that everything is good, potentially reviewing previous calls and things of that nature. And that's really my philosophy on what is going to make someone successful in this. It's not talent, it's activity. All right. How active are you and just how aggressive are you in your approach to collecting cash? Following up is where a lot of money is made. We've had people follow up and collect PIFs after 2 years following up with a lead, right? And then when you do that consistently over a long period of time, you end up collecting double what a normal closer would just because you're following up with old leads who are actually the warmest leads because they've already been on a call or they've already communicated with you at some point and expressed interest. Another one of my requirements or my daily activities is actually have a training group where I train rep. So I'm about to jump on a training call with the Mandem. It's going to be good. I'm excited. You can kind of meet the Mandem. That's amazing, bro. Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to Ethan. Guy's been here for like 2 weeks. He's been super, super consistent. Wayne and Reese both reached out to me asking like, who is this guy? Whatever, right? And that comes back to my point on activity, right? How I was telling you guys, you always take the active person over the most talented, right? So whoever's doing the most reps and whoever's making the best impression and whoever's putting in the most work is going to end up in the best position, right? Every week, top of the leaderboard, right? Sales, SDR. The guys that are at the top of those leaderboards are going to just run everyone over through straight activity. Back at it today, guys. We got 4 calls scheduled. I'm feeling good about them. The energy that you bring to your calls matters. So I'm here, I'm looking slick, and I'm ready to rip, and I'm ready to collect some cash. Let's get into it.
Yeah, bro. So right now I'm just doing modeling part-time, but the money there is super inconsistent, bro. It's like when you get booked for a job, right? And I'm also working as a personal trainer at a boxing studio. But again, that's only on the weekends. That's not a lot of money. And then I'm also, bro, working as a role player. Basically, I'm just helping the people that are in police academy train to become cops, man.
I guess what is kind of the motivation between wanting to get out of it, do something like this?
Yeah, so I have a lot of like big goals and dreams that I want to do with my life, but it's just at the moment I'm not able to do that with the job I'm working, especially because like I feel like I'm tied down to one city, one place. You know, I want to model in Europe. I want to go fight internationally, do my Muay Thai fights, but like that's not possible on the income and like the fact that I'm stuck here, bro.
So in regards to getting into this specifically then, is there anything you feel like is kind of holding you back or stopping you from just starting?
To be honest, bro, no. It's like if I find the right business model and like the right thing, and I think sales is that, right? You know, I like to talk, I like to do these. I think this is something I can progress in. There's not really anything stopping me. I mean, maybe the money.
Got you. Okay, well, like there's 2 types of people in your situation, bro. There's going to be the type of people who say that I don't have the capital, so I can't do it. And then there's the type of person who's like, if I want that life that I want, then I know I need to get resourceful and find the capital. So which one would you say that you are?
Well, I'm the guy who wants it. Like, I'll get resourceful for sure.
Bro. Basically, so it's 8K.
Jesus, bro. Man, I would love to do this and I'm super interested, but I literally don't have that money right now.
Got you. Okay, cool. That's fine, bro. I kind of already expected that. Obviously, I kind of knew your financial situation a little bit. But is it just the fact you don't have it, or is it more so like fear or nerves around actually putting something down?
I mean, based on what we talked about, I feel like, or at least I know if I commit myself to this will get me to my goals. So if I'm being honest, it's mainly just the money. Like I just don't have the money.
Just jumped off the first call. They just weren't qualified. So didn't really bother going through with the entire call. You don't want to waste your call. You know, if someone doesn't have money, they're not qualified, then just triage them. Let them know that if they come back and they're in a better position, you can rip it. Now I'm about to jump on with Ricardo. I'm going to see how this call goes. I'll see you in there.
Right now, bro, I work in retail, like bookshelves and stuff like that. And I just feel like I want more for myself. It's just not going to get me to where I want to. And when I saw your content, I jumped into it because it really spoke out to me because of sales in general.
Yeah. Okay, cool. How long have you been in retail for?
Been there about a year and a half now.
Yeah. So you've been doing that for about a year. How long have you kind of been feeling like it's something that you want to change?
I say about like 4 months when I really wanted to travel with my group of friends, and I just couldn't do it because I just didn't really have the financials for it. It really hit me that job was just not really going to take me anywhere.
That being said, then I guess what have you tried to start to make that shift and to potentially, move out of that and find something more scalable?
Generally, I really haven't gone deep into anything. Watch a couple YouTube videos, regular drop shipping and stuff like that. Looked a little bit into crypto, but that's a whole different ball game. And I just reached out to you, and now is what I'm kind of doing to get ahead.
Awesome, bro. Okay, and what do you feel like you need in order to actually make this work?
Honestly, like a little bit of guidance. I don't really know how the whole entrepreneurship game works. For me, it's something different, and I just don't want to be kind of making things up as I go. I kind of want to, learn from someone who has already done it,
Okay, Brian, do you feel like if you had that, then you would be able to kind of get to the level that you want to be?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just a simple equation, knowing where I want to go and having somebody to get me there.
Amazing, bro. Okay, cool. So with that being said, then that could obviously help you learn the skills so then you can get to where you want to be. For a year access, it is $8K US.
Yeah, bro. Honestly, like with what I get paid, I wouldn't be able to do that amount like right away, unfortunately.
Okay. You just mean like you don't actually have access to the entire investment right now?
Yeah, yeah, 8K for me right now is just not really realistic.
Well, if we were able to then make it more digestible, would you be able to get started?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
If we could split it up into maybe split it in 4, so 2,000 times 4, is that something that you'd be able to manage?
Yeah, that would be better for me. Yeah. 2000 will actually be a very good fit for me right now.
Okay,
Is that to get started?
Yeah, so what we can do is 2K today, we'll get you onboarded, and then over the next 4 months, you can put that down each month. And then obviously by this first month, second month, you can hopefully have some money coming in. We can go from there.
Okay. Yeah, that works for me.
Perfect. Let's make it happen, bro.
Yeah, man. AC, heating, kind of just the whole shebang.
Nice, bro. And how are you finding that?
It's all right. I've been doing it for quite a while. It's kind of the point. Just tired of living the same day every single day. I feel like I have so much more potential. So yeah, just kind of exploring to see what's out there.
For sure. And you said you've been doing that for how many years?
Almost 4 now.
Yeah. Okay, so you've been doing that for 4 years, and I guess what has happened recently to where you want to kind of change that all of a sudden?
Yeah, it's like like the first year or two was fine. I was like making good money, like more than I expected to make. It was like, it was enjoyable. I was learning. Now I'm at the point where I kind of learned everything, and now it's just like fully a career. And it's sitting back the last little bit. It's like looking into the future. Like, is this really where I see myself? Right? Like, do I want to work like this the rest of my life? And I don't think it's the path that I want to go down.
And what do you feel like has kind of stopped you from doing that up until this point?
Probably a big part of it being comfortability. I was just comfortable where I was at.
I guess for you to actually now make that transition and get to where you want to be, what do you exactly feel like you need if you've overcome that comfortability now and there's nothing else kind of stopping you? Like, what do you feel like it is that you need to actually make that transition?
Probably just a better plan. Like I've been doing, like we talked about earlier, I've been doing research. Like I always kind of knew I had a knack for sales. I always thought I was good at communicating, and it was always something I was interested in growing up, but I just never knew the proper path to go down. After school, I was like, I'm probably too young. Like no one's going to really hire people my age doing sales, right? Real estate was always interesting, but the way the world's going now with everything being online, it's, doing a little bit of research, this seems like this is the kind of niche I want to be involved in.
For sure. Okay, bro. And for all that, just for a year-long access, it's 8K US.
So 8K all in for the year. That includes everything.
Yeah, so for everything we went over, so that you can actually learn the skills and finally have like a clear roadmap, and also have the guidance and the support and everything, so that you can actually get out of your job, get to where you want to be. That's 8K, and that's for the year, right?
And that's one time?
For a year access, yeah.
It's a bit higher than what I was expecting, but I'm in. Let's do it.
Oh, another 8K PIF. Okay, so I think we've gotten 2 PIFs total now, which is sick. It's good for the challenge. And I think that means we finished off today at 8K. I've got another call. I'll let you guys know how that goes, and then I'll wrap everything up at the end of the day, and we'll kind of look at our numbers. But that's a good start to day 6. Okay, so the second call no-showed, which isn't ideal. But regardless, 8K PIF, that means $800 today. That's a good day, regardless. All right. All right, so we've made it to day 7. It's been a blast. I want to run you guys through exactly what happened, the results that we got, the numbers and the money we made, and what this actually means for you if you're wanting to get into high ticket sales and start doing the exact same thing that I do. So let me pop up the full breakdown on screen. Day 1, we were just setting up and getting prepared, getting a role, stuff like that. Day 2, we had 3 calls, 2 closes. We did 16K rev, 11K cash. Day 3, we had 2 calls, 2 closes, 8K rev, 6.5K cash. Day 4, we had no calls. Day 5, we had 4 calls, 2 closes, 16K rev, 7K cash. Day 6, we had 2 calls, 1 close, 8K rev, 8K cash. So we got carried by a couple of PIFs there. We've got a lot more cash coming through on these deals because of financing. And then obviously we have some more longer term payments coming through with those payment plans that we had. That brings our weekly totals to 11 calls total, 7 closes total revenue $48,000, a total commissions earned $3,250 commission earned in my pocket from 6 days of work. Okay, so now you know exactly how to close, how to get a role, you know what the opportunity looks like, you know how a call is actually ran, and you know how to land a role. Now you know everything you need to know to be the best possible sales rep that you can be. So now the question becomes, what is the next step? Where do I go now? I've been a sales rep for 4 months, 5 months. What do I do to now scale over time? And the answer to that question is what I'm about to speak about right now. Let's talk about something that can 10x or 20x or 100x your income and open doors that you didn't even know existed and position you as the go-to person in your space and give you a lifestyle of true freedom and the closest thing that you're ever going to get to passive income. The thing that's going to allow you to do that is building a personal brand. You've probably heard the term thrown around a lot now, and maybe you think it's just about flexing cars or making a bunch of money or posting cool reels or motivational quotes. But let me tell you, it is so much deeper than that. A personal brand isn't just what people see, it's how people feel about you, and it's how people feel about you on a huge scale. It's the value that you provide, the trust that you build, and the reputation that you earn. It's about becoming someone who stands out in a really, really noisy world and genuinely making impact on large amounts of people. And here's what most sales reps don't realize. Your personal brand is your biggest competitive advantage, not your closing scripts, not your objection handling, your brand. Because if me and you both reached out for the sales role, who do you think they're going to give it to? Probably the guy with a really clean Instagram that's been talking about sales for ages, that has a sick personal brand. The reason personal brands matter for sales reps is because most salespeople are invisible. They don't really have anything. They're just this random face that no one knows. They blend into the background. They're forgettable. But when you have a personal brand, that changes. You start to attract opportunities instead of chasing them. Without a personal brand, you're constantly hunting for your next role, down bad, trying to get hired. You're applying to job boards and cold DMing people from a place where you don't really have any authority versus just having people message you, hey, I'm looking to hire a sales rep. Do you know anyone? Can you work for me? XYZ. What would you rather have? Bunch of companies and influencers reaching out to hire you, or you having to reach out to them? I've had multiple six-figure opportunities and roles come to me through DMs simply because I built a brand. And obviously I'm not going to go work for them, but what do? I tell them I've got a whole community of students that I'm training, and I give my students and my inner circle members the best opportunities in the space. If two closers walk into an interview with the same close rate, the same experience, the same skill set, but one has 50,000 followers and a whole documented story of the whole thing, and the other person has nothing, who do you think gets hired? When you have a brand, you have leverage, you have credibility, you have social proof. You're not just another rep, you're an asset. That's more money, more negotiating power, and better commission structures. When you build a personal brand, it's not something that just works one time. It's with you forever. So even if you stop working for a specific company, you still have your brand. You still have a bunch of people that have been watching and following you and feel like they know you. They're the people that are going to give you opportunities. And a strong personal brand doesn't just help you get better roles and get more roles and get more opportunities. It opens up entire new revenue streams. You can start consulting. You can start training reps. You can become a coach. You can get affiliate deals or partnerships, or you can speak at events. Your personal brand becomes a business itself, and you know how to sell, and now you have people to sell to. There's thousands of closers out there. Most of them are decent, some of them are great, but only a handful are really good and have a personal brand as well. That's really how you set yourself apart in the environment today. When you build a brand, you're not competing on price or skill alone. You're competing on trust, credibility, and authority and connection. And those are the things that actually make people want to work for you. Now let's clear something up. A personal brand isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. In fact, it's actually about being as authentic and being as yourself as you possibly can. It's really just about amplifying who you are and putting that out into the world. People can smell inauthenticity a mile away, and if you're inauthentic, your content's not really going to work. People don't want perfect, they want real. They want someone that they can relate to and that's genuine and transparent and authentic. Your personal brand is built on 3 pillars. 1, your story, where you came from, what your story is, what you've overcome, why you do what you do. This is what makes you relatable and memorable. The second thing is your value, your knowledge, your experiences, your insights, your values, your beliefs. This is what makes you worth following. And the third thing is your results. What do you actually do for people? Where's the proof that you're worth listening to? When you combine these elements consistently, you build a brand that attracts the right people and repels the wrong ones. Before we get into the tactics and things you can do to build your brand, let's just get one thing clear. Nobody actually cares as much as you think you do, and it's almost egotistical to not do something because you think other people care that much. Other people really don't care that much about what you're doing, and even if they did, why do you care about what they think? The chances are they're not living the life you want to be living, so why would you care? When I first started posting content, I was a little bit worried about what my friends would think, what my family would think, what other people would think, but then I asked myself, does the version of me that I want to be, who's making $4 million a month, living the life, doing these things, does he give a fuck? And the answer was no. So I did it anyway. Build for yourself. Be selfish so you can be selfless later. Now, a lot of you people are going to be thinking, I don't really have anything to share. Like, I got really nothing to talk about. I'm not that valuable yet, which is probably true, but that doesn't mean you can't document your journey, because who's going to have more authority? The person who filmed their entire journey to 10K a month, or the person who just started posting content at 10K a month? As long as you're a few steps ahead of them, you can still be a guide for someone that's at the very beginning. Share what you're learning, share your experiences, share your day-to-day life, share your journey. That's the value. Stop waiting for the perfect time. You need to just start and get uncomfortable and do the thing that you know you need to do. Now let's get into how to actually build your personal brand step by step. Step 1, actually spend some time defining and understanding why you're doing this. Who are you trying to reach? What problems are you going to solve? And what makes you different? Your positioning should be clear and specific. Don't just be another sales guy. Don't just be the guy who collected $1 million cash in 60 days or something. Just be yourself. Find what makes you unique. Find your unique positioning and dig into that. The more specific you are, the easier it is for the right people to find you. Then understand the different platforms that you're going to be posting on and what they're good for. Instagram is really good for personal connections and building a really strong relationship with your audience and gaining mass amounts of attention. YouTube is better for delivering value and getting people bought into your way of thinking and your way of doing business. Twitter is great for quick insights and hot takes and building a more sophisticated audience. You should be omnipresent. You should be posting on TikTok and on Instagram and on YouTube. Step 3 is actually create a clear content strategy. Most people fail at personal branding because one day they're posting one thing and then the next day they're posting something completely different. That's not a brand, that's just noise. Here is how I would break it up so that you're consistently posting the same stuff. I stick by a rough 40-40-20 where my content is 40% value, which is educational content, insights, 40% personal, which is my life story, storytelling, things about me, and then 20% promotional, which is client results, me actually promoting the thing that I do. Then you want to establish your content pillars, and these are just the main topics that you will continually talk about in your content. For a sales rep, these might be sales fundamentals, which is like discovery, objection handling, you actually on calls. 2, mindset and personal development. 3, making money and career growth. 4, your personal journey and wins. 5, industries. Every piece of content you create should fall into one of these pillars. This keeps you focused and establishes you as an authority on these topics. And then it's just a matter of actually posting consistently. I would post 3 days on short form, which is Instagram and TikTok, and 1 time a week on YouTube. Consistency beats perfection. If you just show up every week, you're going to get better. It is a numbers game, just like sales. The more you post, the better you're going to get, the more you're going to grow, and the faster you're going to get to where you want to be. Step 4 is to document, don't create. A big mistake people make is they think they need this Hollywood level content, but you don't. If you had a great sales call, break down what you did and why it was great. If you closed a big deal, share that win. If you had a good day with your family, you can share that as well. Even if you had a rough week, share the insights from that week. This is one of the easiest ways to just create endless content because everything can be content. Especially as a sales rep, your daily life is full of lessons, stories, wins, and losses. Just share them. Step 5, start to show results and social proof. So this is the lifestyle that you live, the things that you do, the results that you get for people, or the results that you get for yourself. You can talk about specific numbers, the biggest deals that you've closed, the people that you've worked with, and stuff like that. Then step 6 is just be consistent for at least 6 to 12 months. Rome wasn't built in a day, especially with a personal brand and especially with content. It's something you need to be willing to stick to for a long period of time without necessarily seeing the results that you want. Although you could, the chances are you're not going to go viral and blow up in your first week posting content. But if you show up every day for 12 months, everything changes. Your content gets better, you gain some momentum, your audience steadily grows, opportunities start appearing, and then the compound effect kicks in. Most people quit after 30 days because they don't see immediate results. Don't be most people. If you want some good content ideas as a sales rep, just go check out my Instagram and you'll see I do a lot of storytelling content, I do some sales content, and I do some documentation style content. And if you're still not sure what to post, then here are 50 plus content ideas that you can use right now. And something I want you guys to make sure you avoid these mistakes. Waiting until you're ready. You're never going to feel ready. It's never going to feel comfortable. It's always going to feel weird, but you have to just do it anyway because you're never going to be ready. But if you don't start, you don't get any results. Mistake 2 is copying people. Yes, you can take inspiration here and there, but if you're ripping people's content word for word or taking their whole personality, people are going to see that and they're not going to rock with you. Mistake 3 is posting just when you feel like it. It's not enough to show up here and there. You have to be consistent every single day and never miss. That is how you grow. That is how you stay consistent. Another thing is not engaging with your audience. These people are following you and you want them to be a cult-like following, and you do that by actually engaging with them and actually talking to them. The last thing is just giving up too soon. I've seen people post for a couple of days and never post again because they didn't get the results they wanted. Brother, you might have to post for a whole year before you get results. but you have to be willing to do it anyway. Now, as you build a brand, let me explain to you what's going to happen. You've been posting content consistently for 6 months. Your content's starting to get better. Your audience is growing. Then one day you wake up to a DM from a business owner asking if you're available to close for them. The commission structure is better than anything you've ever seen before. You've got another person that wants to sponsor you. You've got another person that wants you to manage their sales team. You got another guy that wants you to be a part of his sales company. A month after that, you actually start taking on one-on-one clients, teaching them how to sell. And now you're already making $50K a month. That's not fantasy. That's literally what happens when you build a real brand. The opportunities that you have multiply, your income streams get more diverse, and you go from chasing to actually genuinely now having some real leverage in your life. And that's why I always encourage every sales rep to start their personal brand. And that's why inside my inner circle, not only do I teach people how to sell, teach them how to create content. Your personal brand is your currency and your resume in today's world. It's your digital handshake and your portfolio all rolled into one. And here's the kicker. It's not really optional anymore. If you're not building your brand, you're invisible in a sea full of people. But if you are building it, you're giving yourself the competitive advantage you need to actually succeed in the online space today. So here's what I want you to do today, not tomorrow, today. Start sharing something, anything. Tell a story, share a lesson, give value. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be you. This could be an Instagram story, an Instagram reel, a tweet, a YouTube video, literally anything. Over time, you'll find your voice, but if you never start and you never get uncomfortable and you don't do it now, then you will never do it. And remember, your brand isn't built overnight. It's built brick by brick through consistency and through sheer volume. All right, so now you've learned how to set appointments, close deals, handle objections, land a role, and create a personal brand. You've got all the skills, you've got all the audience, and now it's time to actually scale yourself as an entrepreneur by doing something I like to call becoming the business. This is where you combine all the skills you've learned over the last couple months or years and combine them into one sustainable, scalable business. Maybe that means launching your own high ticket offer, doing some type of your own sales training. Maybe it's managing other people's offers and taking a percentage and building that into a business. Maybe it's growth operating or coaching or consulting or anything. Whatever it is, after you've developed the skill of really mastering sales and you've made a lot of money with that, you want to build something that's going to give you true financial freedom. And when you become the business, that's what you get. Because what most people don't understand about these two skill sets, which is creating content and learning how to sell, once you have those two things, you have all the fundamental business skills that you need in order to run a successful business. You can finally build your own empire, but here's the catch. It does require a shift of mindset. The thing that got you to $10,000 a month isn't going to get you to $1 million a month. You've got to stop thinking like a worker and you have to start thinking like the boss. You have to start acting like a business owner because that's what you are now. That means hiring and firing employees. That means management and delegating tasks that aren't big revenue generating activities for you. Finding people that are more competent and more skilled than you at certain things, getting A+ talent onto your team. You're not some cog in the wheel anymore. You're not an employee checking in and out. You're not even a sales rep anymore. You are the whole thing, so you need to act like it. Your mindset has to shift completely. The way you do things has to change. This is about owning everything you do, owning everything that you say, and everything that you put into this business is building something meaningful to you. And the reason a lot of people fail when they're transitioning from something like sales to something else is because they don't actually change their mindset. And even sometimes people fail in sales because they have the same 9-to-5 mindset and they're trying to apply that to a commission-based sales role. But your mindset and your paradigm and your way of thinking needs to change when you go from 9-to-5 to sales rep, and it needs to change when you go from sales rep to business owner. The top earners, the ones pulling in multi 6 figures, 7 figures, they don't think like employees. They're like the puppet masters controlling everything and making sure stuff gets done. This doesn't mean that they work less, but they work on higher leveraged activities. So you got to realize when you're building this business, you become the brand, you become the business, and you have to act accordingly. And here's how you do that. The first thing is you own your image and you own your reputation. And specifically with what we do, it is a reputation-based game. If you do not have a good reputation and a good image, it is very difficult to make a lot of money. When I talk about your image, I don't necessarily mean your looks. I talk about how you're showing up, your vibe, your energy, your persona, your reputation. When people think of you, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Someone who's always grinding, always delivering value, always leveling up, or someone who's just kind of blending into the crowd and noise? Because let me tell you, being just a part of the noise or just blending into the crowd doesn't get you anywhere. You need to be the best at what you do. You truly need to be the best at what you do. And I truly believe that I am the best person with the best product and the best content for people that are trying to go from a job to being a sales rep. And that's why I will win, because of my image and because of the quality of content that I'm putting out and the quality of value that I'm giving. You don't see me post a lot about cars or lifestyle or travel or really any of the things that I do, because I want to be known for the value that I provided. All those things are nice, and yes, I'm going to enjoy all of those things, but first and foremost, I want to be known for the impact and the value that I provide. Your reputation is your currency. So what do you want to be known for, and what do you want people to think of when they think of you? So ask yourself, am I reliable? Do people see me as an expert in my space? Am I the first person people think of when they think of this specific thing? If someone thinks of sales, I want them to think of me. And does my online presence reflect the level that I want to operate at? If your answer to any of these questions is no, then fix it, because your reputation and your image is the foundation of everything else. Then master your craft. Whatever you're selling, be it your time, your product, your service, you need to know it inside and out. And not just the basics, you need to be super professional at what you do. For me, I teamed up with my mentors to provide the best possible sales training ever, because even for me to do it myself, I know it wouldn't be as good as doing it alongside the people that taught me. So when you combine those two sets of knowledge and then you provide that into training, it gets really good. And then you know your craft and you know your product better than anyone else, and you know it's the best thing on the market. The thing that made me different wasn't because I had a new shiny object or something that no one had ever seen before. The thing that made me different was that I genuinely knew what I was talking about. I had lived it, I had breathed it, I had done it, and I was consistently still doing it before I started teaching anyone. So here's what mastery actually looks like. You can answer any question about your product or service without hesitation. You don't need to research anything. You know the answer to every question when it comes. You can speak intelligently about the entire process. You know your competitors and you know why you're better than them. You've studied the psychology of your target market. You know exactly who you're trying to help and why. Mastery really isn't optional, because if you're in a sea and you're trying to compete with everyone, it's going to be very difficult to compete if you're not a master, if you're not actually the best at what you do. Be the best at what you do, be in demand, and be irreplaceable. The third thing you need to do if you really want to become the business is you need to take full responsibility and accountability for every single thing that happens. When I say you need to take accountability for everything, I mean, even if something isn't necessarily your fault, it's your responsibility to fix that problem. If one of your employees messes up, that's your fault for not being a good enough leader, and you need to improve and you need to handle that situation accordingly. If you have a bad month, that is on you. If you have a good month, that is on you. Most accountability and responsibility for every single thing that happens in your business. Every time I see an entrepreneur fail or get messed up, it's because they're trying to outsource the responsibility that they have in their business. They're trying to say, it was my setter's fault, or it was my sales manager's fault, or it was my editor's fault. My editor wasn't editing the content quick enough. You are the one who is leading and controlling all of these people. If your editor's not getting you content in time, that's because you haven't set the right frame, you haven't set the right expectations for that team member. And the same goes for your sales manager, your setter manager, everything. So you need to be able to set frame, tell the team member or the employee what you expect from them and why, and what you will do if that standard is not met. This is how you maintain a really high standard of work and you build a super strong team. This is something I'm guilty of. When I first started out in business, I would always try to blame other people, but then I realized it's my fault. It's my responsibility to make sure the sales team is dialed. It's my responsibility to make sure the sales manager is dialed. Another thing you need to perfect is your processes and your systems. Now, this is the boring stuff, and this is something that I neglected for a long time, which is tracking systems, stuff like that, because it's boring. You're looking at spreadsheets and numbers and stuff like that. But the issue is, if you do not track these things and you do not have good systems and good tracking, then your whole business falls apart. Because if you do not know how many leads you're bringing in, how many closes you're getting, you don't know your close rate, you don't know what the failing KPI is. You don't know if it's because you don't have enough leads. You don't know if it's because your sales team's not converting or your setting team's not booking in the calls they should be booking in. If you do not track and you do not have systems and you do not have data, you will not scale your business. And this is something that I had to learn the hard way. So you need a lead management system like a CRM that tracks your leads. You need a daily activity tracker. You need a follow-up system. You need a close rate tracker. You need content tracking. You need content data tracking so you know what content is performing well. Something that I do as well is I send a type form to all of my clients that close, and I get them to tell me why they bought from me, so now I know what to double down on in my content. The last thing you need to do is to invest in yourself. This year alone, I spent over $30,000 on coaching, consulting, mentorship, so I could acquire new knowledge so that I could continue to scale my business over time. I remember the first time I invested in info was to learn sales. I learned how to sell, But I never really invested in information again until just recently. And I asked myself, my business is kind of stagnant. I'm not really scaling. Why have I stopped learning? Never stop learning. Never stop developing more knowledge. Always invest in your knowledge and your skill set. Invest in consulting, coaching, sales training, whatever it is that you need in your specific part of your business. You might be doing $100,000 a month. I would invest in someone to teach me how to get to $1 million a month. You know what I mean? So never stop learning. Never stop educating yourself. This is the one thing that got me to where I am today. And it's something that I'll never stop doing again. So ask yourself, what can you invest in today that will make you more valuable tomorrow? Very, very often the answer will be skill sets, people, and knowledge. Now, I'm not going to lie, to be a business owner, you do kind of need to just think a bit differently. You need to have something deeper driving you, and you need to really start to look at yourself and identify as the type of person who is a business owner. You can't still look at yourself as an employee. You have to really look at yourself as who you are, someone who knows what's possible, someone who believes in themselves, someone who knows what they're going to accomplish, and you have to go out and do it. If you're not that person right now, that's fine, but start building the skill sets and start becoming that person today. Really start to ask yourself, am I thinking like an employee or a business owner? Do I take full responsibility for all of my results, or do I try to blame external things and people? Remember, you're not just a sales rep anymore. You're not just a closer. You're not just an employee. You are the business. You are your brand, your voice, your face. Be the business, run the business, adopt the identity that you need. And that's the final module. So you've made it now, right? You learned the skills, you created the content, you synthesized all of those things into one thing that is scalable long-term, so that now you can have true financial freedom and you can really start to scale over time. But I do want to be honest with you guys, once you get to this point and you're making 50, 100K a month and you've really unlocked true freedom, this isn't success. This is just where the journey starts, right? Because when you're in survival mode, when you're working a 9 to 5, you're just trying to make money. You're just trying to survive. But once you have the freedom and you've got the money coming in, who do you become and what do you do? What actually drives you forward? If you're not ready for it, comfort starts to sneak in, you start to fall off, and then you lose everything. I've seen so many people quit their closing jobs to go work 9 to 5s again. Don't be like those people. Never give up, never stop. Always push forward and never stop learning. But something that you're going to have to learn to do as you're on this journey is you're going to have to learn how to just love the work and love the grind, because it's not always going to be fun. It's going to be difficult. Complacency will creep in, but you just have to be obsessed with progression. That's what I always tell people, because if you want 10K a month, you hit that, then what? You want 100K a month, you hit that, then what? But if you are just obsessed with growing, with developing as a person, and you're obsessed with progression, then you'll never stop working. Growth does not happen in the comfort zone. You need to constantly be uncomfortable, constantly be working, constantly be growing as a individual. A lot of people talk about discipline and motivation, but obsession trumps all of that. The obsessed person is always going to run over the person who's trying to be as productive as possible and trying to be as motivated as possible, because obsession is something that consumes you and forces you to do the work no matter what. I don't have to be sitting here filming a 3-hour long YouTube video. I do it because I am obsessed with creating the best content in this niche. I want to be at $4 million a month within the next couple years, and I'm going to do it, but I only am going to do it based off the content that I create, the value that I provide, and the moves that I make. You need to be obsessed with getting better every single day, getting better results, making better content, making smarter moves, gaining more knowledge, building the best empire that you can. Obsession is what you need. Now, where you go from here and what you do with the success is completely up to you. The number one thing I want you to remember is that there is a different version of reality out there, and you're not living that, and it should annoy you and it should motivate you, because why not you? There is no difference between me and you except for time spent. I started this 3-4 years ago and I've not stopped working at it ever since. So why can't you do the same? All you need to do is tell yourself that you're not going to wait for the perfect time. It's never coming. You need to tell yourself that you're going to start now. We've covered a lot. I dropped the blueprint on your lap, step by step, the skills to learn, why to learn them, how to synthesize them into something that's going to be sustainable long term. But I do want to be real with you for a second. I would have not been able to do this if I did not have access to the things I had access to. When I started this, I was working in construction. I had no business skills. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just lost trying to learn skills that I had never learned before and trying to do something nobody I knew had ever done before. And I started trying to start these businesses and do these things, and nothing ever worked for me until I found someone who could actually sit down and teach me the skills that I needed. I swallowed my pride. I found someone who could teach me the skills. I invested in my knowledge, and that one decision completely changed my life forever. Not only did it teach me the skills, it gave me the connections I needed, it changed my whole perspective on what was actually possible. I started thinking way bigger, and in turn, I got way bigger results. As I became successful, I knew there was other people in the situation that I was in that needed the same opportunity that I had to knowledge, to learning. So that's why I started working with my mentor to build my inner circle. It's not just any community, it is the exact same community that I had when I started, that taught me every single thing I needed to know in order to get to where I am today. Since opening my inner circle, this is what we've been able to achieve. Asher was able to generate over $350,000 in his first year. Ethan went from FIFO to consistent 50K months profit. Callum went from a 9 to 5 to making $40,000 months. Wayne went from laboring to making 5K days. James went from being a tradie to making $6,000 weeks. Nelson made over 150K in his first 10 months. Cooper made over 150K in his first year. Reese hit his first 20K months just 6 months in. Tavita hit his first 10K week just 1 month in. Huddy hit his first 10K month just 2 months in. And guys, I'm not even kidding. I could literally go on for days, probably weeks, with all the results and the crazy stuff that we have been able to accomplish thus far. But what I want you to really understand is that these aren't outliers. They're just a replicable formula implemented by regular people. The only difference between me and them and you is that we decided to actually start, and we've been working at it ever since. But there's no reason why you can't just start today and do the exact same thing. So the next step is up to you. You have two options. You can close this video, go try to implement every single thing you learn, start reaching out for roles, trying to land an offer, and see how you go. And I encourage that if that's something that you want to do. But just be aware of the few things that might happen. It'll probably take you quite a lot of time to somehow teach yourself the skill of sales and actually get into a role because you have no experience and you have no training. And the second thing that might happen is you might give up and be discouraged because you're not actually getting the roles and you're not making progress. The second option is that you can check out the top link in the description below, so you can book in a call where we can break down a roadmap from the exact same community that I joined on how you can start to learn the skills, land the role, make the connections that you need to make, how you can excel as a sales rep and as a content creator and as a business owner. The choice is yours. Feel free to check it out. What I want you to remember going away from this video is you are going to be somewhere this time next year. It is up to you to decide where you are going to be. I hope this was of value to you guys. Check out the top link in the description. If not, I hope this video was of value to you, and I'm excited to see you guys soon. Good night and God bless.